What's up, freak bitches? That music's awfully loud. Wherever you may be, however you may be watching, thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time. A little bit of opening music, trying to expand the production value of my piece of shit show. Thank you all for joining us. Really do appreciate it. You know, we've got the NFL draft coming up. Most people, well, I know Jeremy doesn't really care, but I just realized I have my phone like way up. We better take care of that before I end up getting a strike on myself. Chat's pretty active already. But Jennifer's in there. Hey, she actually decided to come and like watch one of my streams. That's kind of nice. Appreciate that, honey. But yeah, the NFL draft's coming up, so I figured now would be a good time to go ahead and talk about some of our favorite sports movies. Now, sports movies can be kind of a weird thing. They can come from a lot of different angles. Yes, Jeremy. What's Jeremy doing?
I don't know. What is he doing?
The little fingers. I'm watching on the stream, so I'm watching the delay. You did the little whoop-de-doo, the eye roll with your little fingers there. It's so adorable.
I could not honestly give any less of a shred of a fuck about sports. I'm sorry.
Well, do you know what? You're a real sport for staying on the show with us tonight.
But, you know, your list isn't terrible.
No, because I definitely didn't fucking pick a movie and its sequel to fill my fucking, 5 picks.
You should have just picked all 5 of them, but we'll get that in a minute.
I almost did. As a joke, I thought it worked. I was like, I'm going to change my list to all of the fucking movies in that series. But they do decline after the
absolutely would have kicked you off the fucking show for that nonsense. I would have been like, mute, you're done. You're done. I would have called Casey. I'd have been like, Casey, come give me 5 sports movies along with your bad jokes.
It's not even an insult.
But anyway, with the NFL draft coming up, I thought it might be a good time to talk about some of our favorite sports movies. There's some good ones out there. And like I said, sports movies can come from a couple of different angles. They can be meaningful for a lot of different reasons. Not just for the feel-good stories that we end up getting, but they can also involve different things like politics. They can involve, kind of being down on your luck, kind of coming out of nowhere, the underdog stories. I mean, they can really hit you from a lot of different angles. And so that's why I think there's been so many that were very, very enjoyable. So we're going to get right into it, and we're going to get to Miss Cora and her first movie. What do you think, Miss Cora?
My first movie is Varsity Blues. And a lot of people joke about how stupid it was sometimes, but you have to understand something about me. This movie came out halfway through my senior year of high school. And it's about high schoolers, so it was kind of mesmerizing in that way. And coming from the West Coast, I didn't know shit about Texas culture, let alone Texas football culture. I mean, there was they sure follow football more down there in general. But this movie was eye-opening. It was almost like a anthropological experience of seeing a different world. Sure, it was hyped up with Hollywood and dramatized and all that, but and I had been a big fan of the TV show Dawson's Creek, which James Van Der Beek was in, and I've always been a Jon Voight fan, and later on, Paul Walker got big. He was in this. Amy Smart was in it. There's a lot of great people in this movie, and it's truly about football, but the bigger part of the movie, it's about family, how an obsessive interest can affect a family, whether like in my family it might be politics, in this family it happened to be football, how a small town is so different, the dynamics of people growing up. I mean, very serious, sometimes a little dark, especially with the one guy who wants to kill himself. But it's one of those movies that really cemented, I'm not going to lie, my interest in football, because I wasn't a big football person. My family was big into college football, watching the games. But I got more interested in it, and I actually learned a lot about football from watching movies. And this was one of those movies on that short list that showed me something. And they label it comedy, drama, romance. There's very little things that are funny in this movie, except for the scene where they're in high school. Of course, the teacher is talking about sex ed, and she lets them just to blow off steam, and lets them jokingly say every nickname for an erection. And it's a 2-minute sequence, which is fucking hilarious. And for all the guys out there, seeing Allie Larder playing a teenage girl wearing a whipped cream bikini, I know my guy friends love that part. So there are some funny aspects to this movie, but to me, it kind of reminded me of Shakespeare in a lot of ways. But loved it. Really a poignant part of my life. So a lot of the movies I watched around then are near and dear to my heart, and this is one of them.
It's also got a very young Allie Larder in it before she became famous in things like Heroes and Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, she's the one in the whipped cream bikini in here.
Yeah. Because of that scene, Allie Larder has always been one of my celebrity crushes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Jeremy, have you seen Varsity Blues?
No.
I'm not surprised. Here's why.
Brace your fucking selves. I'm probably not seeing hardly any of these.
Some of you may have.
Hold on to your ball.
Well, I mean, there's a couple on my list that actually are very, very deep, very intense movies for very different reasons. One of the things about Varsity Blues that stands out to me is number one, is it was kind of a perfect mosaic of what that culture was like in the 90s. Because, yes, it's Texas, some places in Florida, California, us living predominantly in the Midwest, Cora partially, but me and Jeremy most certainly. This area is kind of similar. It's like there are areas where sports kind of run things. It's mostly football. That's why they made a lot of movies like this and stuff like that. But in some places it's basketball, and maybe in some places, I know Texas, Florida, and California, a lot of it's baseball. Mm-hmm. Soccer has become huge since I got to high school. So for some places,
soccer and track and field were really big where I went to high school.
Yeah, but in Texas, it's no secret, football kind of runs almost everything else. And so it is not unusual to find one of these towns or one of these counties where almost literally everything closes down from 6 o'clock Friday night until 10 o'clock Friday night for the local high school football game. So, and yeah, this is kind of a good mosaic as to what that culture was like back then, not just in Texas, but various places around the country. The only thing about this movie that I noticed is it hasn't aged well. It looks 90s, and I get it. Yeah. It was made in the late 90s, but sometimes movies they kind of carry a little farther than what you would think they would, and this movie definitely looks 90s. It feels 90s. It doesn't take away from the movie for me, but it doesn't age the way that I had hoped it would. But still a very good movie that I think everybody should watch.
I might watch it once or twice more in my life. It's not one of my go-tos, but it is when you're talking sports movies, it's on the list.
Well, I was talking to somebody about Weird Al Yankovic the other day, and how he had gotten to the point where if other bands had heard that he wanted to make a parody of their song, it was actually a badge of honor. The joke is always you knew you arrived in the music business when Weird Al Yankovic wanted to make a parody of your song. So for those of you who haven't seen a very young Chris Evans star in Not Another Teen Movie, it was basically a spoof of this, as well as some other like teen drama tropes, but it was very, very heavily based on this movie.
Like that Scary Movie when they did that was a parody of the fake horror movies with teenagers.
Yeah, and it was a parody kind of specifically of this, but kind of threw in a lot of the stuff from like all the Rat Pack movies, the young teenage relationship stuff that goes on in movies, stuff like that. But I always thought it was funny because I was listening to one of the directors talk about it years ago, and they were trying to figure out how to cast the character of the big guy. What's his name? Billy Bob? Something like that.
Yeah.
So they were trying to. So when they were sitting around trying to cast the movie, they were like, "Who can we possibly get to play this Billy Bob character?" And then one of them just kind of, in a stroke of genius, said, "Why don't we get the same actor?" So they hired the same actor to spoof himself and his character in that movie, and I thought that was just kind of hilarious. But yeah. A couple of people coming into the chat. What's going on, everybody? Like I said, Jen's in there. Cora's in there. She's on the call with us. Sonic Boom coming in. What's going on, brother? Good to see you here in the chat. But, it's the movie has not aged the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
But but still, it's a quality movie, especially if you know something about the culture, not just football, but of the sports culture and how it can kind of take over a community in a town. You kind of watch the movie.
Like
and you
when they put
understand
that sign in your yard, the size of a billboard. When you're the star player, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
and how the father-son relationship was so driven about football. It was very enlightening for me.
it was. It's a really, really good movie, and I hope that everybody gets a chance to watch it, especially you, Jeremy. You have some catching up to do. But now we're going to move on to the non-sports fan on the call. I'm interested to see what some of his favorite sports movies look like. Jeremy, what's the first one you want to talk about today?
Can I just say real quick, thank you, Jeremy, for indulging and making the best of this. We owe you a show where it's something only you want to talk about.
There's stuff in the works for Jeremy. There's stuff in the works for Jeremy.
Good.
We already talked about video game movies. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt of my favorite one. And I wore a video game today because fuck you guys. Bagger, I hope you got my message because I just did a switcheroo on you because I realized that's technically a sports movie. I could sit here and technically be like, oh, well, they were watching football in this movie, so technically it's a sports movie because, technically fucking Die Hard's a Christmas movie. And you can all eat my ass.
We're not going to have that argument until we get closer to Christmas time.
We're going to do this again? God damn. None of us did that, and I'm proud of all of us for not saying that, this last Christmas movie one. All right, well, I'm going to start at the bottom here. The first one I have is actually also from the 90s. It's Cool Runnings.
Oh, that's a great one.
And, a true story. I'm like,
It is.
This is one of the, and also, I got to give a big shout out to John Candy, one of my favorite fucking comedians. Dude's hilarious. And it's kind of sad to think, like, what, maybe later that year or next year he passed away. It wasn't long after.
Yeah, you're right.
I
think it was before 95.
Yeah, it was just a couple years after that, I think.
Yeah, so it's just kind of sad. But shit, he still gives a really good performance. I don't know. You just take the concept of like, okay, well, we're gonna have a bobsled team from Jamaica. Like, what? But hey. It worked. And the cool thing I didn't know, I think when I first, as in Frank first gave me fucking Disney Plus, I saw that the movie was on there. I was like, holy shit, I have not seen, no, I'm laying in bed, I'm going to watch it right the fuck now. I just woke up on a Saturday and I'm going to watch this movie again. And I didn't know, like, they actually used footage from the actual Olympic event, like, in the movie. It's when they crashed and they actually fell on the side. So that was kind of cool. And then, the whole... I always love that shot of them, like, when they just pick the bobsled up and they just fucking walk it across the end. It's so cool.
Yeah, bobsledding is no joke. Because I'm one of those people, it's like every 4 years the Winter Olympics rolls around. It's like I'll get really into stuff like curling, and then I'll never watch it again until like 4 years later. But
Canada will be proud of you.
But yeah, my only knock on the movie is that as awesome as the movie is, it was kind of historically pretty inaccurate. I've actually heard a couple people kind of criticize the movie. They were like, it's kind of the typical Disney feel good thing, but when you realize,
to be funny though,
but when you realize how terribly inaccurate it is, it does paint kind of the wrong picture. And one of the things that they were talking about was that when the Jamaican bobsled team actually showed up for the Winter Olympics, it wasn't like people were looking down their noses at them. They even said that most of the teams were very, very helpful, and it's like a lot of the other bobsledders from the other countries would like work and train with them and kind of help give them some information and some tactics and stuff that they probably didn't already know, and that you don't really learn unless you get on the ice and start working. That it was very, very different. So while I enjoy the movie for what it is, and the message it tries to send, I do get a little miffed at the fact that it paints everybody there as like a racist asshole, or at least an asshole is just not wanting these people from this warm weather country involved in this winter stuff, and only to have that moment at the very end where the asshole leader of the Swiss team is just like, oh, okay, you're not so bad after all, and then they hug it out and we go on to the credits. I'm like, okay, whatever. But Cora, you've seen this movie. What do you think about it?
I saw it once or twice, and I thought it was Hammy comes to mind, like fun and cute, and I'm a John Candy fan in general, so I've seen everything he's made as far as I understand. And I remember seeing it and liking it a great deal. And because I knew nothing about Jamaican sports, but I've been watching the Olympics since I was a kid. So I thought it was pretty fucking cool. They did a movie about one of the Olympic sports. So that alone in itself was great. And then add John Candy and some comedy to it. It's good shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie.
And like,
Did you grow up? Did you watch this when you were a kid, Jeremy?
I think, well, I'll say I watched it in high school, and we might have been talking about something related to the Olympics, but no, I think I saw it in school, and I just thought, oh, this is actually a fun movie. And
If I recall, the soundtrack was even pretty good too.
Yeah. I want to say, dude that played his best friend did some of the music, but don't quote me. I feel like he did.
Well,
I don't know.
I remember at the time, you know, it was like the Rastafarian sound was like super fucking popular. So, I mean, was it? Well, I mean, God, what was even on the soundtrack? Because I remember, I think I may have owned the soundtrack at one point, but it's like they had not Somewhere Over the Rainbow. What's the one song? Because there was like a Rastafarian version. There was like a Rastafarian version that came out like around that time anyway, and it just kind of ended up on the soundtrack. It's actually a really good version of the song. But yeah, it's also, it stars Leon, who was, I think at the time, let me put the poster back up here, let me take it down, was, I think it was about the time that he was dating Madonna.
Oh.
And then it's got like Dougie Fresh, who at the time I think was doing, what was that spinoff of the Cosby Show? A Different World, when they were all in college.
The Perfect World.
Yeah, A Different World. It's when they were all in college. It's like when the oldest daughter goes to college, and it was kind of following her.
Mm-hmm. Denise.
And then, you know, John Candy's the boss. I mean, it's a great comedic actor. Totally wonderful.
Yeah.
He pulls off.
Oh yeah, Diana King performs a song of Bob Marley's. That might be what you're thinking of, called "Stir It Up."
I don't think that was a song, but anyway, all I know is the music was actually really, really good. It's a very enjoyable
I thought
soundtrack.
so too.
But yeah, I mean, and honestly, it's got this long history of the feel good stories, though, and that's what I was saying earlier. It's like you kind of. It helps kind of bridge the divide between some people, for whatever the divide may be between like the Swiss and the Jamaicans, for example, in the movie, like they use in the movie, because obviously the Swiss people deal with winter a lot more than they deal with it in Jamaica. So, so yeah, it does seem kind of ridiculous and a bit outlandish that you would have a Jamaican team do anything in the winter sports, but you know they have competed in bobsled pretty steadily. I mean, I think they've only missed qualifying for the Olympics like 3 times.
Oh wow!
And that's which is awesome when you consider that there does not ever get below like 60 degrees in Jamaica. So it means you can't. They go to.
How are you gonna practice?
Yeah, they have to go to other places to train and stuff like that, but still represent their home country. I mean, these guys are really putting it out there to try to do something. Yeah. But I think it's pretty awesome. Some more people coming in the chat. What's going on? Ouch, says Frank is Fat Jesus. Bro, what's up? If I had longer hair, maybe. If I could grow hair on top.
If I could wig for one show.
Yeah, if I could grow hair on top, but I do dig his logo. It's the Jesus from the View Askew universe. He's like, Jeremy understands.
Nice.
American Werewolf for New Jersey is in.
Right.
Yeah, American Werewolf for New Jersey is in. You guys can go check out his stuff too. He said he's never seen Cool Runnings. Ooh. He says fingers crossed for Necessary Roughness. It's not a bad sports movie. Not a bad sports movie. Nate from VA. He's in here.
It's a good one.
What's going on, Nate from VA? Says Malik Yoba from New York Undercover is in this. Yeah, it is. He's the. He's the guy on the right. He played Yul Brenner, the big mean guy. I'm pretty sure that's the guy. The one guy who plays the nerdy like rich boy. He was in something, and I'm drawing a blank on what else I saw him in. I don't know. But we all know most of these guys. I mean, Leon was pretty big for a while anyway. He's been in a few things since then. And like I said, he got to date Madonna. If you don't get famous for dating Madonna, you don't get famous for anything.
If you get to date Madonna, period.
If you get to date Madonna, period, you're probably doing okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, Jeremy, I thought Jeremy was going to lead with a different movie. He kind of surprised
Yeah,
me.
I tricked. Yeah, surprised me.
He did
I
surprise
tend
me
to
a little bit.
surprise
Okay.
people.
That's all right though.
I think I know what you. I think I know what you thought I was gonna.
Yeah, you know what I thought you were going to lead with. But
Well, I
now,
looked at my list. And I'm like, I don't want to go too strong. I just want to. I want to flip it on him.
And that is a pretty. I like the album art, the movie poster for it too. Like it shows the funniness. It shows the bobsled. It shows all the main characters. I like that about it too.
yeah, movie posters are a lost art. I mean, it's like
Agreed.
I think sometimes they're too busy, but then again, I mean, they can become formulaic at times. But I do like the fact, like if you go look at all the like the Star Wars posters, they all kind of have the same basic little format. But it's what can they add and tweak here and there that makes it different. But yeah, movie posters and movie trailers. I mean, it's an art. It's an art. Mm-hmm. If you want to learn more about movie trailers, and I'll pitch his shit just because I like him. John Campea actually just did a documentary that he released a couple of months ago about movie trailers and like our love affair with trailers. That's something you should definitely check out too, because I've seen that. If you're into documentaries and if you're into movies, it's a good thing. But I'll go to my first movie. And I'm going to lead off with one that's fairly easy. Anybody who's seen this knows that it's a good movie for a lot of different reasons. And that's Miracle from Disney. And again, another Disney movie. There's actually several Disney movies on this list, come to think of it.
Yes.
Actually, this is the only... Actually, this might be the second one. I don't know if my other one is. I'll have to remember when I get there. But, I mean, we all know the story. Well, any sports fan knows the story of the Miracle on Ice. It's significant for a just ton of reasons. Now, the backstory is, for those of you who don't know, it's 1980 at the Winter Olympics in Lake Placid, and the USA has put together this kind of ragtag team of college recruits, and they get this coach named Herb Brooks, who is a very well-known hockey person for 30 or 40 years at this point. He decides to kind of just take a whole different approach. He really wants to take the game and really just stick it to the Russians, who at that time were kind of dominating the sport at the international level. So he cuts a bunch of the guys who were considered the best guys. He's like, I want the right guys, not the best guys. Famous line from the movie, actually. And he puts together this crew that ends up facing off against the Russians in... now, this actually wasn't the gold medal game with the Miracle on Ice happened. It was actually the second round game. It was the next game where the U.S. would actually win the gold medal against Finland. But I mean, they're going into this, they train hard, they have some ups and downs, of course, because this is a Disney movie. It's a movie, period. So you have to have those ups and downs. But, obviously they end up going up against Russia in this, I think it was the second round of the tournament. And in a game where, they had actually played Russia before this, and they had got shit stomped. And for those of you who don't know hockey, if you lose like 2-0, that's counted as a blowout. I think they lost like 7-1. It's like they just got worked. But they go on and they run with this Russian crew who is just brutal. I mean, if you imagine some little leaguers trying to play baseball against, a team that won the World Series last year, it's like that's how outmatched it looks like they are. But they actually go and they duke it out with this amazing Russian team, this juggernaut team, and they end up winning. The reason why it's significant is not just because they ended up beating this team that, by all accounts, should have just wiped them off the face of the planet. There was this political thing going on at the time called the Cold War, and this animosity between small little thing. They've only made about 200 movies about that. But so it really was kind of a heightened sense of tension in this game. And then, of course, you add in, like I said, if you're a sports fan, you know Al Michaels' call. And the Al Michaels that we would come to know, that my generation would come to know, from hearing him call things like Monday Night Football and baseball and Olympics over the years, this was his first really big announcing gig. And I think it's funny, he tells the story that the only reason he got this gig is because he was the only person available that had ever called a hockey game. Like all the people that they could have sent out. Seriously, he's told the story. He's like, I was the only person that knew anything about hockey that they could have thrown out there, so they just threw me out there. And they asked me to do hockey for the Olympics. So he ends up in the broadcaster's booth for one of the most iconic calls in all of sports history. This whole thing, do you believe in miracles, as time is winding down and you realize that the U.S. is going to win this thing by one goal. Interesting thing about the movie is they actually had Al Michaels come back and reread everything for the games. So when you get to this big game with the Russians, he actually redubbed over all of his commentary, but they ran into this problem. They were thinking to themselves, we can't expect Al Michaels to have that same excitement, that same energy in his voice when we get to that call. So he's like, do we just fake it and everybody knows it's not going to be real, or do we do something else? So what they did was they slowly phased out Al Michaels redubbing over the lines, and they phased in the original call and to kind of remaster the audio and everything so it would sound clear. Mm-hmm. And so that call you hear in the movie is the actual call from Lake Placid in 1980 when, you know, the U.S. beat the Russian team. And cool. In that moment, it's like his voice gets high pitched. He kind of loses control because that moment was so huge. Just a fantastic movie. Like I said, if you know anything about the political situation at the time, the way Herb Brooks put together this team, how a lot of people in the hockey community kind of doubted what he thought he could do, it really is that kind of ultimate feel-good story that Disney likes to put out. Cora, what do you think of the movie?
I never saw it. I knew the story behind the movie, but I did not see the movie. That's the year I got married to my first husband. I was busy planning my wedding. I missed a lot of movies that year. But I heard great things about it, and I'm a big Kurt Russell fan, and you got me thinking next time, if it's on Disney Plus, you know, maybe after watching an episode of Winter Soldier, I'll pop it on.
It is actually on Disney Plus. It's a Disney movie, so it's up there.
Awesome.
But yeah. Jeremy, you've never seen this movie, have you?
Nope, don't know shit about it.
You should. It's got Kurt Russell. It's got Kurt Russell. It's Kurt Russell.
Russell's fantastic.
You know,
I know that. That doesn't mean I fucking have seen it.
One of the sad little side notes is that Herb Brooks was actually a consultant for the film, the coach who actually coached the Miracle on Ice team. And just a few weeks before the film was released, he was killed in a car accident in Minnesota, so he never actually got to see the film. But
speaking of Minnesota, you brought up Miracle, the Minneapolis Miracle with the Vikings. That's all I've been hearing about when I first started dating Dan and coming here and going to a game. They use that word. So there's a miracle in hockey and there's a miracle in football. I mean, is there a miracle in baseball and basketball too?
Probably.
I don't know. Baseball's got a couple. Me being a baseball guy, baseball's got a couple of weird moments that are kind of iconic. I mean, Kirk Gibson's home run in Game 1 of the '88 World Series. I don't know if it was necessarily a miracle, but it was just one of those moments that every now and again baseball just tends to build up and deliver to us and remind us why that game is awesome. Football, I mean, you got Tyrese catching the Super Bowl against the Patriots, catching the ball off his helmet that eventually helps the Giants beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. You'd probably have to really get a good answer. You'd probably have to find somebody who obsesses about like one sport, like the way I do about baseball.
Yeah, that's true.
And really let them kind of dig into the memory banks and say, "Oh, it could be this moment. It could have been this moment. It could have been this moment."
Do you think it was more of a big deal because it was the Olympics, not so much the circumstances of just a hockey team?
I think it was probably a combination of a lot of different factors. I mean, for one, the Russians were the juggernauts. I mean, it's like nobody expected the Russians to lose a game, like the entire tournament. So the fact that honestly, the Russians were like 4 or 5 goal favorites for every game. I mean, it's like nobody thought that they were going to do anything at all. They were going to lose anything at all. So the fact that anybody even ran with them would have been big enough news. The fact that they get beat, especially by a U.S. team that, by all accounts, I mean, on paper, a lot of people didn't figure the U.S. team was even going to medal. I mean, a lot of them were kind of like, if they make it out of the qualifying round, that's pretty good for the United States team. So they'd have been happy with that. But Nate from VA says Tennessee, the Music City Miracle. That's probably a good one for football.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that one, I'm still not entirely sure that was legit.
Sorry for the side note.
I still think one of those was a illegal forward lateral, but whatever. I mean, I'll take, because neither one of my teams was involved. I'm not really that involved in it. I'll just accept it for what it is. But and then you factor into all that, plus the fact that all the political tensions, which were very, very much still in the news. We were still very thick in the Cold War at that point in 1980. So
yeah,
I just think it was just kind of this perfect storm of factors that kind of led us up to that moment. That's what I think. But let's move on to the next round of movies. And Cora, what's your second movie you want to talk about?
Kind of in line with Miracle. The 2006 Mark Wahlberg movie Invincible, about Vince Pampali, who was just a 30-year-old bartender who ended up on the Philadelphia Eagles team. And I love the soundtrack. I love that they incorporated so much of the real story. After the fact, I read up about it. And Mark Wahlberg's really hot, so that helps. But so I watch everything he's in,
I
anyways.
think you mean
but
Marky Mark.
no, he's just Mark Wahlberg. To me.
Oh no! He is Marky.
Oh, okay, Marky Mark. I'll call Marky Mark just for you.
Thank
So,
you.
anyways, this movie came out, and I was just, dumbfounded at how fucked up it was that his wife left him because he lost his job and he was literally picking his, stuff up off the ground, and he's a go-getter, and she was she was a really nasty woman. And then he's sitting in an empty house with no furniture but a phone on the floor. And he starts working at a bar, and, he's kicking ass and taking names, just trying to get his life together. And, and then he ends up being and his buddy tells him, oh, you should try out. And I love Greg Kinnear. I love Elizabeth Banks. It's just, this movie just to me is a wonderful story, and the fact that it's based on real life just makes it so much more meaningful and real, and I love it. And it showed a side of football you don't normally see: the training camp, the tryouts, them practicing the playbook or reading the playbook, and you don't necessarily see the backside of football in some of these sports movies, and Invincible provided that and a great story. So, loved it.
Yeah, I think Greg Kinnear was fantastic. I agree. I think he was a star.
Amazing. Yeah, he was fantastic.
I mean, Mark Wahlberg, the role wasn't that much of a stretch for him, so I mean, I try not to give him too much credit, but I mean, he does play very well that kind of everyman whenever he ends up in the role. I mean, yeah, he has these movies where he's kind of a a lughead, and he does those okay too, with a little more depth, which is nice. But because he is a little bit more of a realer person than a lot of people you might see in Hollywood these days.
Yeah,
it is a natural thing for him to play a role like this. It's more natural for him than it would be for a lot of other people.
Well, like you said, Greg Kinnear did great. You see the backside of Greg Kinnear's character, with his home life with his wife and his coaching staff. You really get to know the coach. What was his name here? Hold on, I have Dick Vermeil.
Yeah, Dick Vermeil, because he ended up coaching the Rams in the Super Bowl several years later. He was the one who.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think he was the one that he lost the first Super Bowl to the Patriots. He was their head coach when the Rams lost to the Patriots that first Super Bowl. But nice. Yes, and that's again a guy who had been around football for a long, long time, and kind of I like guys who think outside the box. So when a coach says, "Go get that water boy and see what he can do,"
yeah.
And then of course we end up getting Bobby Boucher. So but yeah, have you ever seen this movie, Jeremy?
You want to take a wild guess?
No.
No. Oh, you don't want to guess? Come on. No.
Well, I don't want to take a guess, and my guess is no. So I'm hitting you. I'm winning on two different levels with that one.
It's honestly, right, Jeremy, less about football and more about life.
Yes,
to be honest,
that's what I watch movies for real life.
No doubt. Yeah,
go and get depressed.
One of the things I really do like about the movie, though, is this ongoing thing where when he goes to his locker, he reads that note that his woman left for him when she ghosts him.
You're never gonna do anything. You'll never become anything of worth. You'll never make any money, and I'm gonna have the last laugh. Basically, something like that.
And now
you married that bitch for. Right.
And now he's rich. He was a football player for at least a couple of years anyway. And yeah, I mean, Vince Papale, he didn't go on to be like a Hall of Famer. I think he played 2 or 3 years in the league, something like that.
Yeah.
He never really got a whole lot of playing time. I think he was a special teams guy most of his career anyway. But he does end up going on to a second career as like a motivational speaker and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And I love the part where he has nothing in his house except for the phone and maybe a bed upstairs, right? And he knows he's on TV, and he has to knock on his neighbor's door. Can I sit and watch TV so I can see myself on TV? because
Yeah.
he didn't have a TV to watch on. I mean, it shows you that he was literally starting over in life.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah,
yep.
definitely a good movie that I hope you will all check out. Now, Jeremy, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
Well, I guess if we're gonna keep this, I don't want to break this Disney train, so let's just keep it rolling. Have we not mentioned a Disney movie yet? Because I think what yours was.
Let's see. Right? Cool Runnings. Varsity Blues wasn't Disney.
Okay.
So yeah, so far the only movie we've mentioned so far that isn't Disney is Varsity Blues.
Oh well, okay, I got one for you. We're gonna go with The Rookie from 2002.
And
good old
back to the House of Mouse we go.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, so yeah, I don't need to tell you how old I was in 2002, like a fucking fetus. So I saw this. Yeah, I saw this movie when it came out. I don't. Again, seeing as a kid, seeing as an adult is a little different. So I was like, I didn't really remember much about it. I'm just like, hey, baseball, and that kid from 2.5 Men who was in like some other Disney movie I saw. That's where I knew him from. I definitely wasn't watching Charlie Sheen at that age. Trust me. But it's a cool story. It's he plays he used to play baseball in the minor leagues, and he had a shoulder injury, which kind of took him out of the game. So now he's fell into getting married. He's a high school teacher. He coaches baseball. So the thing I remember most was like he could like pitch like a fucking motherfucker. Like they're all like amazed by this dude.
Oh.
So his team makes a deal with him. They say, hey, if we win the district championship, he's gonna try out for a major league organization this time. So it's like, hey, never give up on your fucking dreams. Gotta give it a fucking try. I remember them all I think they were all like going online and telling him like, hey, it's your turn, man. It's your turn, coach. Go out there, kick some ass.
Hey, and it even has the guy who played William Stryker in it, Brian Cox, the creator of Wolverine. Very nice.
I really haven't seen The Rookie in years. I know I watched it a couple times by the time it first came out. I just don't think I've migrated back towards it. I do know the story though, the pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Drawing a blank on his name.
Yeah,
Why am I drawing a blank on his name? I need to fix that.
What's the character? What, who he plays?
No, the guy's
Jay
name.
Hernandez?
No, the guy's name.
Jimmy Morris.
That was it. Yeah, because he actually pitched for a few years. He was a middle reliever for the Devil Rays for a while. And actually, I believe he is actually one of the umpires in the film as well. He has like a cameo.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, it's nice when I do shit like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one either, but I like Dennis Quaid movies. I'll add it to my Disney playlist.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Does it end on a good note or is it tragic? Oh,
I mean,
it's not like Remember the Titans. Jesus.
Yeah.
But he didn't fucking die in a car crash like horribly.
Yeah.
You all start singing. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
But
it's Disney. It doesn't end that way.
He actually it was one of those people that, much like Vince Papale, he went on to have like a second career after. I think he played like 3 or 4 years. I think he may have actually been on the Rays team when they won a World Series. I'm not 100% sure. So he may have actually gotten a World Series ring. I can't recall. I'd have to look at some stats and really figure all that out. But yeah, I actually I remember a lot about this movie, and it's not bad. I don't remember it being very honest about how hard it is. I think they made being a baseball player and getting to the big leagues look a little too easy. But I do remember there being some times in the movie where even he's kind of like he's getting some shit from some of his players about how they don't really know if he actually deserves to be there or whether having some old guy try to make one last shot at the big leagues is just kind of a novelty thing that they're going after for some press. because I remember
he was like middle aged, right? He was like
kind of like parents who push their kids into something that they did good at but failed at, and want their kids to get in the limelight so they can kind of ride on their coattails.
Oh, I lied. He only played for about a year, for about 2 years. He had a no win, no loss record. He had a 4.8 earned run average. For those of you who know baseball, you know what I'm talking about. And he had 13 strikeouts. So whatever. He didn't have a whole lot of stats. He made 16 major league appearances in 2000, during which his arm problems reoccurred. His final appearance came on May 9th, 2000 at Yankee Stadium. He came into the bottom of the 10th inning with the bases loaded and issued a game-ending RBI walk to his first batter. Oh, that sucks. After which the Rays released him, but he was not the losing pitcher in the game, as the runner who scored was put on by somebody else, so he wasn't the losing pitcher. But it certainly feels like it. But he's got 4 kids. He's been married twice. He's a motivational speaker, just like Vince Papale. He's traveled the world telling people about how he was able to fulfill his dream and that they will be able to fulfill their own dreams. So I mean, hey, the guy's played more Major League Baseball games than I have. So I got to give the guy some credit.
Nice.
But yeah, not a bad movie overall though. And it's Dennis Quaid. You can't really go wrong with a lot of Dennis Quaid. I mean, he's been in some shitty movies, but he's been good in the movies. So he's one of those guys that elevates things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed.
Whose turn? It was my turn for the next one, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go old. I'm gonna go old. I'm gonna go to a movie from my childhood that I loved. It's a football movie. It's called Wildcats. This is an interesting movie. The basic plot of the movie, it was kind of I actually just got it. You guys can kind of see it like right there. I actually just ordered it on Amazon on DVD for like $4 or something like that. Basically, the story is Goldie Hawn she's a girl who was raised. She's a girl who was raised by a football crazy family, so she knows a shit ton about football. And she's stuck as like a track coach at some uppity white high school in the burbs or some shit like that. But she wants to try to coach football. But because she's a woman trying to make it a man's world, she keeps kind of getting pushed off to the side. So this opportunity comes up to coach the varsity team of some inner city school in Chicago, I think is where this takes place. So the guy that she kind of answers to basically dumps her in the middle of the school, thinking like, she's going to get her ass kicked, she's going to run back to some track team somewhere, and she's going to forget about her football dreams. But eventually whips these guys into shape and makes a pretty good football team out of them. And you got, young versions of some actors that went on to do some pretty cool things. It's got a young Wesley Snipes, a young Woody Harrelson.
And it has that really cool actor, Emmett Walsh, who's plays the old guy in a bunch of movies. I mean, he's fantastic.
He's been the old guy in every movie he's been in.
Hello, Cool J is in this. Hakeem Abdul. Oh no, it's not. I thought it was a basketball player. It's not the right person.
Damn.
Wow. I did see this movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, it is. It's a very, very fun movie, and like I said, there's probably a lot of people in it that you're going to recognize. Just people that were like in all kinds of stuff throughout the 80s and into the 90s. Yeah. But it's Goldie Hawn, and you can't really go wrong with Goldie Hawn. I mean, she's one of those people that's like, oh, she's in it. Okay, I'm gonna give it a watch. But yeah, it's a very fun movie. Again, it's a girl power movie without being obnoxious. That's one of the things that I've always kind of liked about it. I like the fact that she just goes in and does her thing. It isn't one of these things like, I'm going to prove to them I can do this because I'm a girl and girls can do anything. She's just like, you know what? I just want to coach football. Give me a team. Get the fuck out of my way. And that's kind of what she does. Is she just goes in there and does the job. It wasn't obnoxious. Now she deals with some personal stuff along the way. Her ex-husband's being a tool about, their daughters and yada, yada, yada. So there's that personal stuff that goes on during the course of the movie as well. But ultimately, just a fantastic movie that I think you guys should definitely check out. Cora, you said you think you've seen this before?
I have seen it, and I'm going to rewatch it. Yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, it's Goldie Hawn for crying out loud. And it's got that guy's...
and it came out on Valentine's Day,
Oh,
actually.
did it? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And it's got
very cool in 86.
The guy that plays Manolo, you see him on the bottom left-hand part of the poster right there. He was actually huge in a lot of 80s movies. He was in an Anthony Edwards movie called Gotcha. He was also in, for all you horror fans out there that like watching guys like Night Watch... he is actually he was in the first or the second one. He was one of the teenagers that, Freddy dispatches with ease. So he's got a bit of a start in the horror movies as well. But yeah,
Nice.
it's a fun movie that I hope you guys want to check out because again, there's a lot of big names in it, names that would become huge, specifically Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson, and Goldie Hawn was already big.
Amen.
But yeah, it's a fun movie, and like I said, it's girl power without being obtuse.
And the
you
movie
find yourself
poster is hilarious.
you find yourself
The
wanting
dog pile?
her. Yeah, you find her wanting to succeed. Actually, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is she's spent she's taken over this team and she's trying to get these players to take her seriously, and so. They're obviously giving her a hard time, telling her she needs to quit because she's not good enough, yada yada yada. It is an 80s movie, so I mean it's got this cookie cutter template of how the movie was made, how the story flows. But she says, okay, fine. She takes them all on the track. She says, we're going to run laps, and if I drop before any of you drop, I'll quit. She's like, but if I outlast every one of you guys, then you do exactly what I tell you to do from here on out. So they start running laps, and it's kind of like this cool. It's kind of like their training montage a bit. Like the only thing that was missing from being like a Rocky movie was having one of the Survivor songs playing in the background. But she continues to run, and just like one by one, all these football players fall off, and then it just gets to be her and Wesley Snipes, and her and Wesley Snipes are running along, and she just kind of looks at him. She goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I ran the Boston Marathon." And he goes, "Oh shit!" And she goes, "Twice." And then he looks at her like, "Oh fuck, are you kidding me?" And then eventually, Wesley Snipes just falls face first in the ground, and then she, walks up to him. She's like, "Okay, now you motherfuckers are mine." And then from then on out, the movie really catches fire. They obviously, become, a pretty cohesive team. People come and go. She moves some things around, some pieces, and they actually end up playing some good football towards the end. Happy ending, the way that only 80s celluloid can deliver. But yeah, it's a fun movie. That's the best thing about it.
And if you haven't seen it, Private Benjamin is also great with her and Jeremy.
Yes.
I mean, it's Goldie Hawn. I'm not gonna watch it.
And the funny thing is, Private Benjamin was kind of very similar in the fact that it was very girl power without being obnoxious. There was a certain subtleness in the strength of her character that kind of came through the story naturally. It wasn't so obtuse. But anyway, so go check out Wildcats. I like it. I think you guys will like it too. Miss Cora, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
Bring It On from 2000. I'm not doing a cheerleading movie because cheerleading is not a sport. Just had to have that moment.
You have to be athletic to be a cheerleader. Well, I mean,
oh boy.
Well, the cheerleaders that go to the competitions and stuff, I'll give them a little bit of credit because they're actually throwing themselves around.
And that movie is about them going to nationals, but that's not my pick. But I just thought I'd have a comedic moment.
But the cheerleaders on the sidelines of a high school football game that just say those stupid cheers because they rhyme and do whatever and kick and clap. No, that's not a sport.
My actual pick is football because I've themed all of my picks around football leading up to the NFL draft. So my next one is The Blind Side from 2009, another, tearjerker, one. But what I liked about this movie is you really I don't know, I like seeing the transition. I mean, this movie exemplified what it's like from going from high school to college as a player. And I've never seen that in a football movie before. So, there's this, this story of how, he became connected with this family who helped him, get into a good school and on a good football team. But separate from that, this movie, it brings up the questions of, donors and, preferences and from coaches based on people who give money. I mean, it brings up a lot of really good issues that surround football that people don't like to talk about. And I like that about it. So The Blind Side is a great little story, but it also shows you a side of football you don't normally see, and that's why it's on my list.
It does show a little bit. I mean, it does do a lot of talking about the boosters and stuff like that, and because there's a reason why they don't talk about it a lot, because it is kind of the shady side of college sports, and even high school sports in some areas. Like we talked earlier about how big high school sports are in some places, in some communities, like in Texas and stuff like that. Some high schools actually have booster programs as well, and I know that there is a high school in the town over from me called Wayne High School, and they tend to do a lot of the same stuff. It's like when they identify a good athlete from a surrounding school, they will reach out to this this athlete's family and say, hey, why don't you guys move into our district and we'll help you find a job so that you can, we'll help you move. We'll give you these advantages that will make you moving here make sense, because they're one of those super rich programs that has like an amazing field. Like the varsity football coach, he has the direct line to the Ohio State football coach. So
yeah,
things like that. Because I actually played baseball my freshman year. I played baseball with a guy who was just a gifted athlete. Big, tall, black guy. He was a specimen. He could hit the ball a mile. He was our starting quarterback at the varsity level for like a year. And they ended up recruiting him to come over there and play for that high school. He was gone the next year, and he was playing for the other guys. And word had it that, they had offered, they had worked with his parents to do this, that, and the other thing, and just to get him to where he was eligible to go play with them. So that's what it's like when you are in an area that is like heavy into sports, especially one specific sport.
And Jeremy, I did also, you got to see the recruiting process, of what it's like to be a parent and a player as you're trying to get, considered for this and that. And so, again, I just like seeing the backside of things, good and bad.
I agree. Jeremy, have you seen this movie?
Yes. I have seen this movie.
Hey. Give us your thoughts on it.
I don't know. I haven't seen it in a fucking minute, probably since it came out.
You get to see Sandra Bullock as a blonde, and that's not normal.
It's weird. Look, Sandra Bullock's cool. I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of forget that it's like it was not as off-putting after a while. I was kind of like, all right, whatever, you're blonde. Fucking little deep ass Southern accent draw, whatever the fuck she's got going on. Yeah, no, it was. Wait, is that a Disney movie?
No, The Blind Side was not. The Blind Side was not a Disney movie.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Seems like it would be.
Maybe because I'm like, it kind of seems like that, the feel goody kind of shit where you're like, where you want dude to succeed, you just root for him the whole fucking time.
And they did, mess with the story, the real story a little bit. But it was very heartwarming. And I think Sandra Bullock got the supporting actress Oscar for this.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't she get that for this movie?
Either supporting actress or maybe lead actress. I don't know.
Yeah, it's at the 82nd Annual Academy Awards. I don't know which award it is, but she got one.
Blind Side. Wrong film.
When did this movie come out?
2009.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I was in high school. Yeah, like in junior year. I remember going to see it.
Bullock won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, actress in a motion picture drama, and the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Leading Role.
Okay.
She ain't no slouch, man.
She also won the Academy Award for Best Actress. I'm sorry.
Oh, and she got to have Tim McGraw play her husband. I mean, that was pretty fucking cool. I thought that was neat. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
My only knock on this movie is that I think I've read that they played Michael Orr to be kind of dumb.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
that was their complaint.
Even in the years since, Michael Orr has said, and he's still playing football now, I believe. I mean, he eventually got drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. He was one of their big offensive linemen. I forget where Michael Orr is playing now, but
no idea.
But he has actually been on record as saying that he really wished that they would never made the movie about him, because he thought that because in the movie he's, like I said, he's made to look kind of dumb. He's like, oh gee shucks, like he's that. Yeah, he's like the Lenny from Mice and Men.
Yeah, he seems kind of shy and timid. Like he just doesn't know what he's gonna do. And I'm like,
yeah, but they said the reality of it was, and other people have come out and said the reality of it was that he was a good student. That he had hard times and a hard home life, but he was a good student. He was fairly well behaved.
He just had a hard time communicating. It had nothing to do with his intelligence.
Yeah. But they didn't really portray him the way that. The way that he really was. I mean, and part of me, like I said, it's a movie. I get it. You have to alter a few things for dramatic effect or for story's sakes, but I mean, still, when you're changing the character that much, it makes it off to be a little bit of a lie. but I am glad they told the story ultimately. I really wish that Michael Orr had kind of a different view of the whole thing, but whatever. I mean, it's inspiring. It is one of those stories that lets people know that no matter how bad you have it in life, we're not all going to get lucky to have this blonde-haired white woman come up and pull us out of the dredges and make an NFL player out of us, but the opportunities are there. You know what I mean? So you can choose to take advantage of some opportunities. He got a big opportunity, and he turned it into an NFL
But he
career.
also worked his ass off to get it, too.
That's what I'm saying. He took advantage of it. He took advantage of his opportunity. He did the stuff. He learned what he needed to learn. He put in the work, and he made a solid career for himself as an offensive lineman in the NFL. And I am pretty sure he's still playing. Like I said, he got drafted by... I'm looking it up right now. Where is Michael Orr? Carolina. Well, he played with Carolina in 2016. Where's he at now? Yeah, Carolina. Well, no, actually, I guess he retired.
Okay.
I guess he retired. He played Baltimore. He played for Tennessee for a year, and then played at Carolina from 2015 to 2016.
Hey, his last salary year, he made just shy of $12 million. I think he did pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's...
I'd like to make $1 million. Jesus.
And he was in the first, by the way, tying into your show next week, he was pick number 23 in round 1 of the 2009 draft.
Yeah, getting picked in round 1 of the draft is no joke. I mean, they're into you. If they pick you in round 1, they're into you. But Really Mysterious in the chat. What's going on, my brother? It's good to see you in here. We like Really Mysterious. He's one of our homies. That's why I gave him a wrench. Just make sure if Casey shows up, everybody times him out. You got to make him remember what happens when you lose the wrench for a month. I don't know if I give Casey a wrench in my chat or not. Oh, well.
You can always take it away and give it back in April.
I could.
I mean, May.
I won't pick on him like that. He gets picked on enough over on Derailed. We certainly make enough fun of him for that. Let's see. Jeremy, what is the next movie you want to talk about, my friend?
All right. Well, I guess we're going to shy away from the football here for just a second, because I'm going to come right back to it on my next one. But I guess we're going to go with one of the ones from my childhood. We're going to go with Air Bud, the first one. We're talking about basketball now.
Right back to the mouse house.
Wait a second, everybody. Wait a second. When we were talking off air about this topic, he goes, well, I'm just going to have to pick Air Bud then. I thought you were fucking joking.
Sounds like a joke? What the fuck?
I thought you were joking.
What the fuck do you think I am? That's a great goddamn movie.
I'm going to sit down and be quiet and listen to your explanation of Air Bud and how it's in your top 5.
Yeah, we're on what? This is 3. I ain't even gotten to the next 2. And again, I hope Frank did, because I fucking sent him a message like, wait a minute, I have a better one that actually good, because I'm like, I can actually talk about that one, because I literally don't fucking... I'm not going to go there. I already don't know jack shit about most of the stuff. But Air Bud I know about. So, oh god, what was this movie? Like late 90s?
Something like that, yeah.
97, I want to say. I'm usually really good about this. I don't know. 97, probably. I'm going to go with that. And yeah, so this kid, well, I'm not liking because he moves to the town. And he finds, he's into basketball. So like the funny thing is he finds his dog on this little dirty, dirt floored, basketball court that he kind of does up. He finds this stray dog there. And, he just keeps coming back. And then, lo and behold, you just discover, holy shit, this dog can play basketball. You toss him a ball and right in the fucking net. Nothing but net, as they say. I think they say that. I don't know. Is that a sports thing? I don't know.
Yeah, close enough.
I'm going to keep playing these dumb jokes because I can. So, yeah, obviously he incorporates it. He starts training with him more, and then obviously there's the whole, oh my god, mom, can't I keep him? After he's, destroyed the entire house. It's a good time to ask. And the whole time, the funny thing is, he ran away from Michael Jeter's character, who plays this, I'm going to call it like a rent-a-clown. He's like a Walmart, not even a Walmart, like probably like maybe spends his weekends in the woods type clown. That he was like part of his act, and he ran away from him because he's kind of a dick. Rightfully so. So when he incorporates the dog into the basketball team at school, and like, of course, it's kind of like, ha ha ha, what's this dog gonna do? And this motherfucker's shooting 3-pointers. It's like, oh, okay, this dog ain't a joke. And obviously, Michael Jeter comes to find out, oh, hey, this kid's got my fucking dog, and turns into a whole court battle. And of course, feel good. I guess it's kind of a kid's movie. Obviously, the fucking dog picks, the kid instead. They take the clown off the jail, and everybody lives happily ever after for about 1,500 more sequels.
And you almost picked all of them to be your movies.
I really thought about it, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to pick all the goddamn Air Bud movies, because there's enough to pick from. I've seen most of them, too.
Cora, have you seen Air Bud? If so, what do you think of the film?
Don't break my heart, Cora.
I have and no comment.
No comment?
That still hurts, damn.
I was trying not to hurt. Okay, I'll say this. I'm a dog person. I love golden retrievers. Adorable movie. But so fucking stupid that a dog plays basketball. But,
Well, look,
it's cute.
It's Disney.
It's cute.
Most of the stuff that Disney make is a little outlandish. I mean, let's be honest. We all love the Avenger movies, but they're a bit outlandish. There's nobody. There's no guy in a special suit. There's no guy swinging a shield that defies the laws of physics. There's no God of Thunder swinging it around his magic hammer. It's all a bit outlandish. It's what Disney does. But
there's no red wiggly woos.
Yeah, no red wiggly woos. No Peter Tingles. But every now and again, like I said, there's sometimes when you go to see a movie, you just turn your brain off and just let it wash over you. And why not?
Fun.
Why not?
It's fun.
And it's not like they haven't taught dogs to do sporty stuff. I mean, how many times have you seen like the cat playing fucking ping pong himself up against the ping pong table or some shit like that, or seen a dog on a skateboard or a surfboard? I mean, it's not outlandish.
This is fucking, they have to train these. This isn't like special effects. They have to train a goddamn dog to do this. It's possible.
That is impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really is. It's one of those movies where you just turn your brain off and just assume that all this is real and just enjoy it.
It's
Live in
kind
the
of
moment.
like that Cuba Gooding Jr. movie about the dog sled racing.
Oh,
yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, it's just turn your brain off and enjoy the movie. Enjoy this, adorable puppy dog making baskets from half court and whatever, and just don't think about
Fair
it. Just
enough.
don't think about it. Just let it happen. Enjoy the happy ending, and just go with it. That's what
I'm
say.
sorry for being so harsh, Jeremy. It is cute.
I say just go with it. Just go with it. Have some fun. Now, the rest of my movies are all a little on the deeper side. I'm going to play to to a lot of the community, big wrestling fans, and I'm going to go to a movie that put this actor back on the map, because his career was good, and then he tailed off, and then he did this movie, and it led to a lot of huge roles after that, and that's The Wrestler. Now, look, there's a lot of wrestling fans in the community. I mean, Cora and her husband are wrestling fans. A lot of people in the chat right now are wrestling fans.
It's all fake.
That's not the trick, though. That's not the important thing about this movie. The important thing about this movie is that
it's a joke.
Everybody knows it's fake. It's soap opera for men, and it's okay.
Exactly.
But
I love The Undertaker. Look, I grew up in the 90s, trust me. Fucking Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, The Undertaker. Look, not this.
Yeah, but this movie is. I mean, look, we're all so used to seeing guys like Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker. They've done really well for themselves. They're pretty comfortable, but we forget about some of these guys. It's like, and let me know in the chat. Have you guys ever seen the documentary "Resurrecting the Snake" about Jake the Snake Roberts? How he hooks up with Diamond Dallas Page to try to get healthy again, and this big build up to an appearance that he had made a couple years ago at WrestleMania. I mean, it's you after these guys leave the ring and they leave being active wrestlers, we tend to forget that a lot of these guys, the generation that they came up in, they did not do very well at all. And that's kind of what Mickey Rourke's character is in this, is that he is that guy who, I mean, he tremendously popular for a while, And then he falls on hard times. And then on top of that, I mean, he wasn't smart with his money. So many guys that came up in that generation weren't. Then the health problems. You tend to forget. I mean, yes, wrestling's fake. The problems that wrestling can give you physically are not. I mean, anybody who's seen the multitude of interviews that The Undertaker's done since his retirement, I've heard it be like, go check out the podcast he did with Joe Rogan where he talks about like blowing out his
Even
orbital
Hulk
socket.
Hogan talks about how bad it is.
I mean, Hulk Hogan's
And
had
Ric
multiple
Flair.
back surgeries. Yeah, I mean, it's the body slams are fake, but there's only so many times you can throw yourself against the mat before you start to feel it a bit. And
I just saw something they were talking about Andre the Giant too. I mean, I know he's big, but it's like that shit takes a toll on you, man. They could see it. There's
a couple things, about this that really jumped out. Number one is like, even if you were like one of those super popular wrestlers in the golden age of wrestling, that when you hit the bottom, you still hit the bottom, and none of that matters when you're down and out. Number two is a lot of these guys are dedicated as fuck to this craft. And look, I know it's fake, but there is an art and a style and a lot of hard work that goes into faking it. It's like me and Jeremy could walk in a ring and then just kind of like act like we're throwing punches and look ridiculous. To make this stuff look as good as it does, it takes an incredible amount of work and an incredible amount of dedication. He actually cuts himself at one point over the course of this movie. And I know it doesn't happen a lot in wrestling these days. I know it does here and there. I know they've kind of shied away from it. But in the 70s and 80s, when these guys were really trying to sell what was happening in the ring, it was not unheard of for them to do what he does in this movie. He keeps a little piece of a razor blade taped up on his wrist, and then when it gets to the point in the match where some guy has hit him over the head, he'll pull that little razor blade out and cut his own head just so he can bleed and make it look more real. That's the dedication that these guys put into this craft. Like I said, especially back, before the WWF became what it was and eventually WWE, what these guys were willing to do to try to sell this to the crowd. It's amazing, this film. I talk a lot about how the Joker was a bad comic book movie, but it was a great character study about this man on the verge of madness in his life. This is a great character study about this man who's seen the ups and downs. He's been popular, he's been not popular, he's been the new guy, he's been down and out. He struggles with the relationship with his daughter. This is a great character study of this man. And when you approach it as that, I mean, the wrestling aspect of it is good, but when you just really like take a good look at this character that Mickey Rourke puts out there, it's a fascinating film. Cora, I know you've probably seen this movie. What do you think?
I've seen it, but I will say this. I've never heard of it, so I didn't know about it. Mickey Rourke, I'm a huge fan. 4 years before he did this movie, he did a movie called Domino with Keira Knightley.
Domino's a good movie.
Fucking epic movie. Loved him before that, but especially after that. And this man is older, and he has 4 movies in post-production as we speak, and 3 in pre-production. I mean, this guy's a workaholic. I mean, I want to see this movie. I'm already trying to find it.
I'm not sure what streaming service it's on, but if you can find it on Blu-ray
I'm
somewhere,
looking.
it's totally worth
it
it.
looks like I'll have to get it on Amazon. But
yeah, if you can find it, it's totally worth the watch. Again, it's a great character
I have
study.
never heard of it, but I'm a huge Mickey Rourke fan, and I'm a wrestling fan. I didn't even know about this movie. I've never even heard of it. So I'm glad you picked it today.
And
I am surprised too.
And to top it
off, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah,
it did come out the year I was going through my divorce, so I was a little busy.
We talk a lot about music too, and Bruce Springsteen did an amazing song for this film.
Oh wow!
It's like I'm not a big Bruce Springsteen
Marissa Tomei in it even.
Yeah, I'm not a big Bruce Springsteen fan, but I mean this song that he did for this, it's a very emotional, very very low key and subtle song. The lyrics hit, the tone of the song hits. I mean, if you just hear the song play at various points in the film when he's just living his everyday life. I mean, the guy lives in a motorhome and like a van. Like I said, we're so used
down
to
by
seeing,
the river.
Yeah, we're so used to seing these wrestlers living in nice big houses. Hogan lives in Florida in some mansion, yada yada yada. This guy, he's living in a van at one point in this movie because he's broke, has no money. He's wrestling for like $100 a night and still cutting himself and going through all that mess just to give a show so that people will continue to call him and say, "Hey, why don't you come in here and do this one more time for me?" A fantastic movie, like I said, and a great character study. And for all the wrestling fans that are in this community, I would be really, really surprised if you guys haven't seen this movie because it is very, very well done. A fantastic film all around. But
Well, you know it's good when on Internet Movie Database it's almost an 8 out of 10.
oh yeah,
I mean, not many movies have that high a rating.
this movie got
Yeah,
Oscar
yeah.
buzz. This movie seriously got Oscar
wow.
buzz. As a matter of fact, they said the reason why Mickey Rourke was why Jon Favreau cast him as Whiplash as Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2 was because he loved him in this movie. He was like, he said, I gotta get that guy in here. He's like, that's my Ivan Vanko.
Nice.
Yeah, and then of course he goes on to play in the first Expendables movie. I don't really know why he wasn't in the other ones, but I thought he was very enjoyable in the Expendables movie. He was kind of just playing it himself, just this weird old guy.
And he also was in one of the Iron Man movies as a bad guy.
Yeah, Ivan Vanko. That's him.
Yeah.
Okay, I just couldn't remember the name. I didn't put it together.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just he is a very, very good actor, and I'm really glad that he got a little bit of a resurgence after being in this role because he's fantastic.
Did you see what Really Mysterious put in the chat? He wants to know if you consider doing an episode of top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows.
Consider it, yes. The problem is Super Bowl halftime shows have gotten so bad. They only really had about 10 years where they were good. I don't know if there are 5 that I actually like.
I can't remember one I really would put on a list.
Well, I mean, Prince. Prince's was pretty dope. Tom Petty's was pretty dope. Michael Jackson's was pretty dope. You got to remember, for the longest time, it's actually a fairly recent thing that they made the Super Bowl halftime show the spectacle that it is now. Because I remember when the 49ers played the Bengals in Super Bowl 23, I think it was what it was, something like that. It was the second Super Bowl that the 49ers and the Bengals played against each other. Go back and you can actually find this halftime show on YouTube. I've gone back and watched. It is cringe. And when I say it is cringe, it is terrible. They no shit went and got an Elvis impersonator from Vegas called Elvis Crispo, who was an Elvis impersonator / magician, and that was the halftime show. I was like, so the halftime shows that we know now of having the big name artists, it's actually a fairly new thing. So I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but yeah, I mean, there's no doubt been a couple that were super freaking good. And Lady Gaga's wasn't terrible. I'm not a huge Lady Gaga fan. I mean, some of her songs I think are brilliant. The rest of them are just kind of shitty.
I think the Black Eyed Peas did one.
Black Eyed Peas did do one. Like
Fergie, he was pretty good.
McCartney did one that was pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. I think we need to get about another 10 or 12 years in before we can have 5 that really stand out. But there have been. I think there maybe have been 5 that I would put on a list. I wouldn't put Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake anywhere near that. I thought that whole performance was stupid before they came out. It was terrible. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
But some of you guys, but some of you guys in the chat are talking about yours. Sonic Boom said he likes the Goon and Slapshot. Those are his first 2. Obviously, very heavily hockey influenced. That's not bad though. Those are good movies. Rookie of the Year, another Disney cutesy thing that again you just turn your brain off and allow for the fact that some 14-year-old ends up pitching in the major leagues. But Friday Night Lights, good movie. Again, another one of those movies, kind of like a more modern day telling of Varsity Blues, where you're really.
And that one got enough buzz that they turned it into a TV show.
Yes. And again, it's another great mosaic of what it's like in this area where football just overtakes everything. Another good one he has on there though is Concussion, and that while not a movie about sports necessarily, it is about this issue that crept up and bit the NFL in the ass really hard, and the whole concussion problem. And that's actually a pretty good list, I think. Really Mysterious put where did Really Mysterious go? I gotta look at his real quick. He said I can scroll back up to his stuff real quick. I think I got past it. I think I went way farther past it than I thought I would. Gotta find it again. There it is. He likes he likes Happy Gilmore. Can't go wrong with that one. Adam Sandler. That was the prime of Adam Sandler. Like Happy Gilmore, stuff like that. That was his prime.
Is that the one where Kathy Bates played his mom?
No, that was the football one, Waterboy.
She was so great in that.
Yeah. He likes Happy Gilmore.
This is the one where he beats the shit out of Bob Barker.
Yeah.
He got his ass kicked by Bob Barker.
That's the one.
I think you've had enough.
He likes Rocky. Yeah, Rocky's a great movie. That entire franchise, with the exception of Rocky 5. Yeah. Just loaded with fantastic movies.
Your wife just mentioned in the chat Angels in the Outfield or Field of Dreams.
Couple more good ones, that's right. He mentions the original Caddyshack, a comedy classic. You can't make movies that
Which
good
I've never
anymore.
seen.
Oh, it's
What?
a classic. It's absolutely
Oh
classic.
boy.
The
Here, if
second
it makes you feel better, when I was telling my husband what the topic was for tonight's show, he goes, "Oh, Caddyshack's at the top of my list." Dave and I, that's his brother, we watched it every Friday night on VHS, recorded off TV, having to fast forward through commercials every
Hell
Friday
yeah.
night for a year because we love that movie so much. And he
Yeah.
said, we are watching Caddyshack together very soon.
one of the funniest things I've ever seen in movies. Look, Rodney Dangerfield was a god. I really wish. I still go back and watch Rodney Dangerfield clips on YouTube because he was so damn funny. He's just this bombastic, obnoxious person. He walks into the pro shop at the golf course. He grabs this hat and he starts banging on. Jeremy knows what I'm talking about. He starts banging on his hat. He goes, "This hat's terrible. I bet you if you buy this hat, it comes with a free cup of soup." And then he looks over at Judge Smales, who is the leader of all the the rich white people assholes at the country club. He's wearing that exact hat, and he goes, "Oh, it looks good on you though," and then rolls his eyes. That is one of the funniest scenes that I can never do that scene justice. It is so damn good. But yeah, he talks about that Slapshot again, another great movie, and The Boxer, which is actually a really good movie as well. I hadn't even thought of that one. Because much like The Wrestler, it's more of a character study than it is just about his career or whatever. It is kind of following this boxer through all the ups and downs and all the way that things can change very drastically, or how they can change from one end of the pendulum to the other, how it can swing at various points of your life. Yeah, another great movie as well. But Cora, I think we're down to your third one now. Why don't you give us your third sports movie that you like?
I have two left, and they literally tied for first place. So my runner-up is Any Given Sunday. Came out in '99, and Oliver Stone directed it. Al Pacino, Dennis Quaid, Cameron Diaz, and the bombshell from movies of old, and Margaret, for fuck's sake. Lauren Holly, LL Cool J, Jamie Foxx. Bill Bellamy, I mean, fucking fantastic movie. It's dramatic, it's edgy, it's dark, it's the music, the cinematography, the script itself, just fucking amazing. I mean, seeing Al Pacino, ordering and talking to hookers as this, even though seeming weak and intimidated, even though he's one of the most popular coaches or was, and has all this power on the football field. I mean, it's just this amazing movie. A lot of it's probably bullshit, but I just loved seeing this side of football. You get to have the interaction with the owners, the general managers, the coach, and understanding, the ins and outs of some of the politics related to how they all work together to make the team. You get to see the good and bad and ugly of what it's like to be a player, about how you live your life. Fantastic movie. The name Willie Beeman will never be out of my brain because Jamie Foxx just plays his cocky little motherfucker so well. And Al Pacino, I'm a big fan already, but this movie sealed him being in my top 10 actors of all time. And how many movies you get to see Cameron Diaz being a bitch? She's always cast as a sweet, love interest or main lead, bubbly girl. She literally plays this badass team owner. And Margaret, was this beloved, sweetheart bombshell from decades ago, plays a drunk. I mean, this is fucking fantastic. I love it.
Cameron Diaz was kind of a dick in The Mask.
Oh, and Aaron Eckhart's in this too. Well, I guess she was there, but I mean, here it's a very serious.
Oh, I know.
movie.
This is different. Yeah, I know.
It's kind of dark. There's nothing funny about this movie except a couple maybe scenes when they're in the locker room or on the field and how they talk to each other. It's I don't know if it's appreciated enough. I don't think enough people love this movie, in my opinion. So there you go. Any Given Sunday, tied for first place for me.
Jeremy, what do you think about the film?
Well, I don't know because I've never fucking heard of it.
It's good.
I was hoping you were going to ask me. You seen it? I was going to be like, yeah, really? No, I fucking haven't.
I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to give you a chance to retort back to me and try to make me feel like an idiot because you haven't seen a movie.
Well, I haven't seen every fucking movie. I know I seen the shot. Damn, right turn. You know what? I'm here, okay?
And the ending, Jeremy, it's not just a typical ending. You don't know what happens till the very end, and it's fucking poetic. It's very great.
The ending was really, really good. But just looking at the poster, I'm like, Pacino, I'm in. Then it's like James Woods, I'm in. Then like Dennis Quaid, I'm in.
That's the one I forgot to mention. And Jamie Foxx shows he can act in this movie.
Yeah, this was I think this was Jamie Foxx's first real, like, branching out of like the because he had done A Living Color for years. He had done a lot of stuff, but he had always done a lot of comedy. I don't know if he had his own show at this point or not. But I think maybe the Jamie Foxx show came after this. But to get away from just being that comedian and to go do something more serious was a big.
You're right. This
was
the first real movie he did. He also got the Jamie Foxx show after this.
Yeah. So yeah, it's.
Did he do like Ray like in 2004?
Ray was in 2004. This movie came out in '99, so this probably helped him get Ray.
He was starting to be on a roll after that point. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so definitely a good movie. And then Oliver Stone, I mean, come on. I mean, say what you will about some of his films, but I mean, God, that guy makes movies that are just so good, so fun to watch for so many reasons. I mean, it's like, because I was actually thinking about doing a retro movie review on JFK this coming November because, you know, JFK November. But, and I know that movie and a lot of his stuff gets kind of smashed on a little bit because it's kind of his personal take on a lot of shit. And some of it's that he stylizes it weird, but I'm just like, you know what? For one, the guy's made some damn good movies. So if he wants to put his own little spin on it here and there, I don't care. I think JFK, even though it is a little bit weird as far as the theories that are surrounding the Kennedy assassination is concerned, is a damn good movie. It's wildly entertaining. And this movie is all the same. The one thing that I've always found really cool about Any Given Sunday, though, is it does really kind of expose that life. I mean,
the dark side of it.
Well, I mean, a lot of sports fans, they only really know what happens for that couple hours they're on TV. And certainly the internet age has changed that, the way that information gets sent around. I mean, now we've got Twitter, a million different websites from Barstool Sports to whatever, you know, Frank's gas station and sportblog.fart.org, whatever. There's a million different people out there talking sports now, and information can move a lot more freely. So you can be like me. You can be a fan of a team in San Francisco, but live across the country and still get your information almost instantly. But people still don't seem to understand that there is the games aren't the only thing that happens. There is a business to this. There's politics to this. I mean, there's office politics everywhere in every job. Pro sports aren't any different. So there is this weird kind of power struggle that can happen behind the scenes. It happens between Pacino's character and Cameron Diaz's character. Obviously James Woods is the doctor. Do you shoot some guy full of steroids or cortisone and get him back out there and not give a damn if his knee disintegrates?
Jeremy, for some reference, Al Pacino is a longtime head coach of this made-up NFL team, okay?
Yes.
And Cameron Diaz plays the daughter of the original owner who's died, and she's trying to keep the team going. And Anne Margaret plays her mother who can't handle the drama between the two. And so she starts drinking heavily. And so it's a matter of power struggle at this point, because for years her dad let Al Pacino's character run the team because he trusted him and they were succeeding and winning championships. And she wants to go in a different direction. And it's just that's what it's kind of mostly about on the backside. But all the side stories of the players and the recruiting and their personal lives are all intertwined.
Yeah, it's also got a couple of football players in it. It's got Lawrence Taylor, plays one of the football players, one of the linebackers. He's the one who cuts Jamie Foxx's brand new sports car in half. And when I say cuts it in half, that's not that's not me being cheeky and saying it. He actually takes a big saw and slices his brand new like Lamborghini or Ferrari or some crazy expensive sports car that I will never own. He slices it in half. It's like he walks out just in time to see his car go clunk like that, like right in half. It's hilarious. But but yeah, it really is like that inner turmoil and struggle that happens even between teammates when you've got all these egos that clash. Yeah, a wildly entertaining movie. And if you guys haven't seen it, you really should. I think it's fantastic. But Jeremy, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
All right, we're going back to football again. And because, like I mentioned before, I definitely did not just pick a sequel because I didn't have 5 fucking movies, but I went with Air Bud, Golden Receiver. That's my second one. Shut up, Cora. I love this movie.
I couldn't say anything.
I don't see you, but I can see you. Like, I know what you... All right?
I can feel your disdain through the internet.
Let me quote one of my favorite movies, Pulp Fiction. Don't give me a look. I can feel your look. I can feel your look right now.
Well, I have a question. Is it the same dog?
Like the same actual dog? I don't fucking know. It's the same dog. Yes, he just plays football now. Okay. So yeah, no, and okay. This movie, I feel like, to me, I watched the absolute shit out of Air Bud and Air Bud 2. I guess I'll just call it that. I don't know. This one had that weird, like, I guess depending on what generation you grew up in, it had like the T2 effect or the Shrek 2 effect, where I'm like, this is a damn good sequel, if not better. I mean, maybe I'm just looking through rose-colored glasses because I don't know, I just loved it. And again, it's a dog playing fucking sports, dude.
It says just dog it on the fucking movie poster. We gotta find a way to use that somehow in every show. Just dog it.
You want me to fucking? I mean, I have a German Shepherd, not a Retriever.
I love it. I love it.
It's a Nike joke. I don't know. But yeah, so now they realized they struck gold with Air Bud. They're like, hold the fuck on, let's make him play football now. Fuck it, we can do that. I don't know. It's cool. It's now like the kid's a little older, so it's kind of cool. Like he was probably, I don't know, Frank. Would you say he was in middle schoolish in the first movie? He was kind of young.
Yeah, something like that.
And now he's he's in high school playing football. I think the thing I remember is the cool thing was the actors too. It's obviously the same kid, and his best friend from the first movie that played basketball with him is still his best friend in this movie because I think his whole angle was his friend was the one that got him into it. Said, "Hey man, chicks dig fucking football players."
There's an Air Bud soccer, baseball, and volleyball movies, and Air Buddies, Snow Buddies, Space Buddies, Santa Buddies,
I wasn't fucking buddies. Kidding. I was gonna fucking
buddies and super buddies.
I was just gonna do all the sports ones, not the stupid.
Well, I mentioned all the titles for you. Holy fuck balls.
I mean, yeah. Spike's back.
So these are the new version of Land Before Time movies where they made 12 of them.
Pretty much, yeah.
I almost kind of said it's like the dog version of Rocky. You just kind of kept going with it.
Okay.
Yeah, in World Cup, I think was the fucking third one, the soccer one. I think I kind of fell off after the soccer one. I was kind of eh. And I kind of felt like, oh, there wasn't, because of these two movies, I'm like, there's so much the dog is involved. He's playing the fucking games. He's in there doing it. This one, I'm kind of I don't think he really played soccer that much. I don't think he did anything. And then I don't remember the fucking volleyball one very well, or the fucking baseball one. I don't know. But so now he's in high school and his friends hey, chicks dig fucking football players, man. We should fucking go out for the team. Because as you do as a high school kid, that's your logic.
The fuck do they make so many?
I don't know.
Because they were selling. Impressed. Look, you make them for $12 total.
They made 7 movies with the puppies.
Yes, and it got ridiculous.
Oh, it's all about.
They put an actual astronaut.
It's not even about the damn dog anymore. It's not even about the dog anymore.
Look, that's the problem. You make movies because they're going to make you money. Now you look at a thing like the Air Bud series. You're like, okay, I'm going to make one of these movies for $5 or $10 million. It's going to do $150 million at the box office. I'm going to make $100 million profit. Doing a couple movies like that is what allows you to go after the bigger stuff. I know Disney wasn't affiliated with Marvel at the time, but you do a couple of these smaller ones that make you a few $100 million so that you can throw $250 million at Avengers. stuff like
Gotcha.
that. But I mean, there is a market.
And you
for
warm the
these,
hearts
though.
of little Jeremys at the same time.
I still haven't explained the fucking movie. You guys keep fucking keep shitting on my goddamn stuff. So
I'm in
and
awe. I'm
I'm
in
just-
awe at this franchise and the success of it. I'm not shitting on it.
I don't know if I'd call it success, but I mean, they just kept beating you over the head with it. Yes. I don't even know. I think the fucking dog's like the puppy's.
Let the
talking.
record be said. He said I'm shitting on it. I said success, and he said it's not success. Just saying.
I don't know. Just because you made a whole bunch of the movies doesn't mean they were good. Like I said, like he said, yes, you have something to sell, something that you want to keep. Here, we'll make it for this. We'll make X amount back, and then we'll steamroll this into something bigger. I'm like, yes, but then you have to know that franchise or that property, whatever, is actually good and doing it. It's still going to make that money for you. I'm just like, I don't know. After the fucking third one, I'm kind of like, okay, this is a little. I don't know if this is working anymore. I think in the third one is like when he actually, I think had the puppies finally or some shit. I don't know. I think the same dude that played the kid, I think, was in all of them except for maybe the one that started the puppy shit. Yeah. So now in this one, it kind of, this like I said, this blossomed into some more. I think when they realized they had a good movie with Air Bud. So now he plays football. The kid plays football, and they discover, hey, the dog can play football too, because of course he fucking can. And there's this whole, and it's a weird, you see the kid kind of have a coming of age thing, okay, now there's he's been his mom about his dad. They don't really mention anything about it, so it's just been a single mom raising this kid and this apparently very talented fucking sports oriented dog. And now this new dude comes into their life, and it's kind of this struggle. He's like, yeah, I don't want a stepdad. I don't know who you are. That moving in on my mom and shit. But it all comes around. And I know this is gonna sound wild, but I mean, come on, what we've been talking about is wild enough. It's these two Russians that are kind of these shady people that have been stealing. They stole a prized chimpanzee. They stole all these other animals that basically they're just trying to make money off of. And they discover Air Bud. They're like, oh my god, wait, this dog can do shit like this. This is our fucking golden ticket, man. This is our main attraction. So there's of course the campy little okay, obviously the dog's gonna end up kicking their ass because they're incompetent, cartoony villains all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still fun. Obviously,
For the record, he was in 4 of the movies. I just checked for you.
the kid was.
The same
Yeah,
dog?
Kevin Zegers.
Kevin Zegers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I know he was in the first 3 up to the soccer. I think he might have been in the volleyball one. I don't.
He gets
think
credit on 4 of the movies.
Yeah, I don't remember him being in the baseball one. I don't fucking. There was a raccoon on the cover. I don't know what the raccoon had to do with anything. I zoned the fuck out after the fucking. I don't know. I really did. I'm I just watched the absolute shit out of the first 2, and that's where I capped off at. I don't know. Because again, it's cool to see them actually have a dog that's trained to do all this crazy shit. And there's a whole, obviously the dude, you kind of come around on the stepfather dude because he saved the dog from the docks where the Russians were hiding out and shit. He takes him to the fucking football game. They win the big game. Woo, yeah. Because they had this they all centered their football plays around the dog. He would do stuff and they're like, well. He's like, well, we got to do this. I think they call it double trouble. I think it's what they call it. We got to do this. And the kid's like, we've never done that without Buddy. I don't know if we can do that. He's like, well, we're just going to fucking have to. And and of course, the big, oh my God, the reveal, there's the dog. Yay. And they win they win the game. I like my childhood movies.
Cute. Next time I'm sick, laid up in bed, and I want a feel-good movie, I'll watch Air Bud.
Yes, please.
I will. Which might be soon, because I'm getting my second COVID shot next week.
That's fine. I'm actually getting mine tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Well, see, you'll have plenty of time if you're laid up to catch up on all these sports movies you haven't seen.
Wow.
See, yeah, you should be watching all the ones we picked.
I'm gonna have to rewatch some of the ones I had too, because I vaguely remember The Rookie. I gotta watch that again, and I'll watch Cool Runnings anytime of the fucking day.
I've got.
They should do a sequel to Cool Runnings.
I've got probably.
I'll watch The Wrestler again.
Yeah, but what would you do as a sequel, though? As a matter of fact, I'm sure they probably already did. Probably went straight to video.
No, but like, kind of like with the same actors, without John Candy, of course. It'd just be kind of interesting. Like maybe they become the coaches of the new team.
Why don't you write a script? See if you can sell it to Disney.
Well, maybe I will.
They probably made a straight to video sequel anyway. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, one of the brilliant things about stuff like Air Bud, though, it's like you can make them for bus fare. I mean, they cost almost no money to make.
You just train the dog, though.
Yeah.
Well, Air Bud.
The dog is probably the most expensive person in the cast list.
Yeah.
So you end up making these movies. You spend almost no money. You know they're going to make money because, I mean, either one, it's counter programming. So I mean, you've got a movie like, because counter programming is important when you're trying to pick release dates. So maybe you've got a movie like, I don't know, 50 Shades of Grey or something that's going to be very adult oriented. And then you go ahead and release something like Air Bud the same week to try to appeal to all those family kind of people that just say, "Oh, I don't want to take my kids to go see 50 Shades of Grey, but I want to take my kids to go see Air Bud." And then you end up kind of getting that counter programming money. And all you have to do is
take anybody.
But Air Bud Receiver had a budget of $11 million, and it only grossed $10 million, and not even $10 million and a quarter.
Oh, that's a loss. So. But I don't know. Sometimes you make movies just to write them off as a loss. Maybe that's what they started looking at Air Bud as. But then again, that's when you end up running into one of these movies that becomes a cult thing. It's like Air Bud it does have a little bit of a cult status in and of itself because it seems like all these movies. Yeah, it seems like all these movies that end up grabbing that like one specific age group, they tend to carry on with them through time, and then you end up 25 or 27 years old talking on some asshole's YouTube channel about how much you like Air Bud. So,
fuck you guys. This is mine. Let me have it.
There's a question for you in the chat, Frank, that I can't answer.
I'm letting you have it. What you want? Are theaters playing Mortal Kombat tonight at midnight? They usually do. I really don't know. My guess would be no.
We don't work for the theaters. We don't know.
It's not unusual for big movies to open right at midnight. I mean, Star Wars, the Matrix movies, everything. But considering we're still dealing with a bit of the pandemic, my guess would be no. That's my guess. You'd really have to go check your local theaters to find out. I mean, it would be nice if they did. Honestly, if they had a midnight showing, I might go catch it tonight and just come back home later and go to bed. But my guess would be no. I think we're probably not going to see that a lot. We're not going to see that become a standard thing again until probably next summer at the earliest. I really don't think it's going to happen a lot this summer. Even for bigger movies like, I don't know. I mean, once we get to like Black Widow, I don't know. We're going to have to see where things are once we get a little bit deeper into the summer. But I would imagine that kind of thing is not going to become normal again for movie theaters.
Do you have your ticket for tomorrow?
I do not.
Oh.
But I can go buy it whenever. Theaters are still kind of... I mean, the theaters that I go to, they're not... I don't usually run into problems with sellouts, so...
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't live in LA or I don't live in LA or New York where as soon as everything goes on sale, it sells out. I'm in a fairly rural area where, it's not usually a problem for me. Star Wars movies and stuff like that, if I want to go opening night, I absolutely have to make sure I go ahead of time and get my tickets. But for most movies, no. Especially when you consider it's going to be dropping on HBO Plus at exactly the same time. So.
Yeah, this is the thing. Maybe that second COVID shot will light me the fuck up and hope I can actually enjoy the Mortal Kombat movie and not be sitting there fucking...
Hey,
I don't know. Absolutely not.
That first 7 minutes looked good. I'm not going to bullshit you. That first 7 minutes.
I didn't want to see it because then I would want to see all of it.
That's why I didn't do it either. I'm like, I don't want to be. I want to be genuinely. I want to go into this just fresh. I mean, I will pick my fighter, as we say, and I'm sorry, but I'm a fucking Sub-Zero guy.
While we're talking about it on a tangent that's not related to this show. What time are you aiming for doing the show tomorrow night, reviewing it?
Because you got to give me time to watch both.
8-ish.
8-ish. Okay.
Maybe 9.
Yikes.
All right, who's
Maybe
next?
9. We'll give Jeremy some time. Maybe 9.
Yeah. I want to watch them like right in tandem with each other, like I did with that.
Are you next, Frank?
Hey, don't forget what else comes out tomorrow. This is the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, so... I've got a busy day of watching some shit tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna watch it till Sunday. So
I'm watching it tomorrow. I'm watching it tomorrow. I gotta know how the shit plays out. But
don't you want to focus on Mortal Kombat?
I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch Mortal Kombat, the original one from '95, and I'm watching the new one at some point. It's gonna be a long day of me sitting on my couch watching
You took the day off work, didn't you?
Yeah, I took the day off work so that we could make sure we do the spoiler review tomorrow night.
So technically, you could stay up all night and watch all of it and watch Mortal Kombat on HBO Max.
I could, but they won't drop Falcon Winter Soldier till 3 a.m. my time. I'm not.
Oh.
I was kind of hoping I'd have fucking tomorrow off because I had the COVID shot. I'm like, I just gotta go in and come back home and chill, and I could just watch all this shit. But alas.
But yeah. But before I go into my next one, and we wrap this up with going our last round of favorite sports movies, we do have a Patreon. And if you choose to support the Patreon for just $5 a month, it helps us out with a little bit of the production costs here, because it does cost a few bucks to do some stuff here and there. But on top of that, you will be entered for a chance to win $25 in free movie tickets that we give away on the first Thursday of every month. So actually that will be next Thursday's show. We'll be giving away another $25 in free movie tickets to the theater of your choice. Now, what this is meant to do, the important part, is what it's meant to do, is to support the theaters and everybody that's working in them. A lot of theaters have been closed for most of the last year, and obviously the people that count on those theaters to support their families and stuff like that, the people that work at the box office, the people that work
You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this.
I can't believe you're
the Google moderator. The Google moderator team deleted my message that had the link to your Patreon in the chat.
That's interesting. Well, in any respects, it's right there on the screen. So if you really, really want to, help out the show and get a chance to win $25 in free movie tickets once a month, the first Thursday show of the month, you can do that by going to that link that you see on your screen, and I'm sure we'll find a way to get to the link. Well, the link is in the description down below. So while I appreciate Cora,
I put it in the chat again. We'll see if they get it again.
While I appreciate Cora always putting it in the chat on cue, it is available down in the description box below. So if you want to support us, we would very much appreciate that. And you might get $25 in free movie tickets out of it. And the cool thing about $25 in free movie tickets is if you do what I do and you go to some of the earlier showings, you can spread this out to like 2 or 3 films.
Matinees.
The matinee showings, or maybe this helps get you and your significant other in just for a movie night. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so if you want to support us on Patreon, we would very much appreciate that. Also, and I don't push this a lot, I don't know, maybe I should start pushing it more. We also do have a Stream Elements account. If you go down to the Stream Elements link below, you can donate to the show that way. Your comment will come up on screen. Everybody knows how Streamlabs works because everybody across the community uses Streamlabs in one way, shape, or form. I use Stream Elements. It's every bit as easy. And if you want to support the show like that, you can do that as well. We very much appreciate that. Now, moving on to my second to last one. This is, again, a lot of these movies, they can come at you from different angles. What the sports means to the populace is usually about more than just who wins and who loses. A lot of you here remember after 9/11 how important it was to get baseball and football back out there, all the American flags, the fans that were doing all that stuff. Sports can be cathartic. And sometimes we need sports to help us keep things in perspective. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the story of Nelson Mandela, one of my movies was the movie Invictus. Now, if you don't know much about Nelson Mandela, he was kept in prison in South Africa for many, many years for supposedly being a bad guy or whatever. He ends up finally getting released from prison after, I think, 15, 20 years in prison or something like that. A long time. And he ends up eventually getting elected president of South Africa. Now, what this movie is about is rugby is a very, very big sport in South Africa. Various different countries around Europe, even here in America, rugby has had a little bit of a surge. He decides to ask Matt Damon, who is the captain of the South African rugby team, to help kind of team up with him to find a way to get people to come together for something, and that something is Rugby's World Cup. Now, not only is rugby kind of a badass sport that a lot of people don't realize it's as hard as it is. I mean, imagine NFL football with no pads and helmets. It's that brutal. I mean, these guys are just out there wearing polo shirts and shorts and cleats, and that's it. You get hammered by these guys who are 6 foot tall and a whole lot of muscle and not a lot of fat. It's brutal. It's a very, very brutal sport to watch. My cousin actually played rugby in college. After playing high school football, he said that was the hardest thing he has ever done. But it does kind of take this. It does take the situation of politics, the racial tensions that existed in South Africa still at the time, the sports of it all. It is kind of the story about how these people kind of unified around this one thing on the rugby pitch. look, for one, it's Morgan Freeman. Come on, you don't go wrong with Morgan Freeman. Matt Damon, he's good. He's good in just about everything. The supporting cast is actually very good as well. But it is really a great story that a lot of people here in America. I mean, apartheid was a big thing for a while in America, but I don't think a lot of Americans really understood what it all was. You really get an exposure.
I followed it from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, well, some people did. I mean, and you and me are one of those people that we read all this stuff anyway, so we kind of get worked into this stuff. But a lot of people were just like into apartheid and were holding up signs and protesting, not really knowing what all that was about. This gives you a much clearer look as to exactly what life was like in South Africa around this time period. And after apartheid fell, how there was still a lot going on in this area of South Africa, and why it was important that Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon, the two characters that they play, kind of bond together and help bring the community together.
Clint Eastwood directed this?
Yes, this is a Clint Eastwood movie.
Wow.
But
that's impressive.
It really is a fantastic movie. Have either one of you even seen this movie? It sounds like you haven't.
No.
I meant to, if it counts.
I think I had heard of it because, I mean, we all know that joke that we're all like, man, Morgan Freeman should really play Nelson Mandela in a movie.
Well, he did.
Like, how long have we... I know. And then I think I had heard about it, so I was like, oh, fucking finally, good on him. That's awesome. And then I never fucking saw it. So,
yeah, it's a fantastic... Again, it shows the importance of... It shows how important sports can be when you're trying to unify people. You know what I mean? What were you saying,
kind of like
Cora?
a convergence of like politics and sports and culture.
little,
Almost like using the sports as an ambassador.
That's actually a really good way of saying it. I mean, it's because everybody was in the movie anyway. This whole area, they're all. I mean, rugby, a big sport in South Africa. Everybody was really, really hoping that the South African team would do well in the World Cup. So what Nelson Mandela tries to do, and they make it very clear in the movie, is he tries to use that as this thing that brings people together and use this as kind of a building block for building that trust between whites and blacks in South Africa. So he's like, you know what, let's get together and just share this thing. We'll worry about what happens off the pitch and outside the stadium some other time, but let's get together right now in the stadium. Let's all be friends and family for this one thing. Let's start here. Let's let that be the cornerstone of building a stronger South Africa, which is kind of what he was going for. And again, it was a fantastic movie. Clint Eastwood makes some damn good movies. As good as he has been in front of the camera, he's every bit as good behind it as well. But I'm
watching this.
Yeah, it is a fantastic.
I gotta find
movie.
out where it's streaming.
I think it's one of those movies to where if you can find it somewhere at like Walmart for $6, it's worth buying. It's one of those movies. As hard as things seem for the characters at one point, you end this movie feeling very, very good about where the movie leaves you. You leave this movie happy. So if you want an uplifting story, you know, especially in times like today when there's so much tension for so much bullshit going on out in the street, why not get lost in the story where these two people from very different worlds come together and say, you know what, let's just do this thing together. Let's do this one thing. Let's be teammates.
I did hear Morgan Freeman did a very good job portraying Nelson Mandela in this movie. I'm
not sure if he got nominated for anything. If he didn't, he should have. Because he is damn good. I mean, he was Morgan Freeman level 100 in this movie. I mean, he was damn good. And then you get like Matt Damon, and Matt Damon's good. Like I said, he plays this role so great.
I'd say Morgan Freeman's almost God tier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a fantastic movie that I really hope you guys will all check out. Again, in times like this, with some of the stuff that's been going on, we really do need to try to find a movie like this to help remind us that we do need to go out of our way at times to try to just unify with people. I've talked with Cora a couple times about how that moment when Captain America picks up Mjolnir in Civil War, about how like me and the guy next to each other had never met each other, but we're like hugging because we were so great about this moment. I don't know anything about that guy. I don't know how he voted. I don't know what he likes. I mean, he could be a vegetarian or a vegan. How the hell do I know? Just in that moment, we were so into this moment together. Why can't we look for those moments to be together? This movie reminds us why we need to go search for those moments, even if it's not popular, even if it's not something that other people necessarily think you should do. Just connect with one other person. Find a moment that you guys can enjoy.
Let this be the story of South Africa that sticks with you, not Oscar Pistorius.
Yeah. No
there
doubt.
You go.
That's the wild thing. It's like I had a similar moment like that when I went to Rock on the Range. Like Frank probably knows what I'm talking about. It's like a 3-day like music festival.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so like we're all here for, you know, the music. We're all here fucking enjoying ourselves. And of course, if, I mean, you know anything about Ohio and it's fucking weather in the fucking middle of summer, you start getting, you know, some sketchy lightning and some fucking storms. You gotta fucking, everybody's gotta get out of the stadium. You gotta be outside. You gotta wait for it to pass in like 30 minutes. Yeah, get the all clear. And it had been a pretty wild day for that. It wasn't like anything storm crazy. It was just kind of like clouding over real dark, and it was just kind of rumbling. And it's like we're all just sitting there, we're waiting. We got delayed. We're all just sitting out, like kind of in line, but just kind of spreading out in the fucking parking lot and some of the little grassy areas. And we're just hanging out with these fucking people, like from different fucking states. People came from other states. Like we were hanging out with these siblings from like fucking Georgia or some shit. And then this other dude who looked like a fucking Viking. He had a fucking like Viking axe tattooed on the side of his head. I don't know these people, but they were the coolest fucking people I'd ever met. And we're all just chilling there, all just having a good time. And fucking people brought speakers from their cars, started playing music. We all just started hanging out, having our own fucking festival in the parking lot. Someone came over and said, "Hey, we got plenty of fucking beer in our car. We're selling our beers for like $1. Fuck it, you guys want to come drink?" You know what I mean? I don't know these fucking people, but we're all there for that fucking festival. We're all there for the music and having a good fucking time. And that was one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good experience. I think you should cherish that, because not a lot of people get to go do that stuff like that.
That's one of the things I enjoy about doing this is we all get together on these movies, just having fun.
Exactly.
I mean, I have no idea what all the people in the chat are into, how you voted. Don't care. Don't care right now. Right now, it's all about the movies. That's the important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that is Invictus. You guys should definitely check that out. Mrs. Cora, you have one movie left that you want to talk about. And what movie is that?
Oh, and I saved the best for last, which is very appropriate for next week. Draft Day. With Kevin fucking Delicious Costner. And it came out in 2014. It has just... I forget her name, Jennifer Garner, as his love interest, which is a side thing. It's just like one day in the life of this head coach of the fictional version of the Cleveland Browns as they're going into the draft day for the NFL. I'm guessing the NFL really liked the screenplay, because they gave him a lot of, I mean, they even had the commissioner doing cameos in the movie. Chadwick Boseman was in it. I mean, this movie was really good. It touched a little bit on the personal life of the coach, but it wasn't all about that. The coach, his name is Sonny Weaver Jr. His dad was a previous head coach, so there's a legacy angle there. And his mom is in there, and his ex-wife is in there, and that's kind of like the silver lining in this whole story. You get to see the side of this guy's personal life, which is you get to see his character evolve and change within a 24-hour period in a way that would surprise you. And it all starts with him starting his day, and you don't see what he writes, but he writes something on a Post-it, and he puts it in his pocket. And he goes to work, and it's all about the process of behind the scenes of working the draft. And he has a team of people working with him. I forget what they call that team. The people who work in that room at the team headquarters, you know, the coaching staff folks, I guess, going through the board of who they want to pick for what. And then there's a few players that they follow and show interactions with. And it's just fucking fantastic. And I'll be honest, before I saw this movie, I gave two shits about watching the draft. I watch round one draft every year now, ever since I saw this movie. Mad kudos to the people who wrote this movie, Scott Rothman and Rajiv Joseph. Don't know who you are, but great job. The director, Ivan Reitman, don't know who you are, but great movie. And it just...
You just hit Jeremy.
I don't recognize the name.
You felt that too, didn't you? Oh, you know who he is.
Look, I'll cut her some slack because, in all fairness, if you are not really, really deep into the cinephile life, you may not recognize certain directors' names. I mean, some directors pop out, like like fucking who did I talk about earlier? Spielberg. Well, Spielberg's one. Stone. Stone is another one I was talking about earlier. Some guys pop out.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, you about gave me a goddamn heart attack. Whew.
Oh, boy. Anyways, I had to look it up. This movie just changed my perspective on football. Like all the ones I've mentioned, giving me some perspective I've never seen. And I love that they picked a real team instead of making a fictional one. And I love that the NFL was participating in it. And it just was such a... I love movies that capture one day but make a full-length movie about it and make you feel like it was like a longer time period. I don't know if that makes sense or if you know what I mean, but it pulls you in and it draws out every moment of this coach's day and it makes it feel like it's longer. Anyway, so loved it, and it's got me really excited to watch the draft this year again as well. Just even talking about it.
Yeah, a lot of real hardcore football fans know that there are 2 days that the NFL, like those are the 2 biggest days of the year, the Super Bowl and draft day. A lot of people think that draft day is a bigger day than the Super Bowl. Because that's where everybody's like mortgaging their future on who you pick in the first round, especially the first round. In the first round of the draft, I mean, you are staking your future on this pick. Not just a bunch of money and a whole ton of time investing into trying to build this talent, but there's so much hope in the first round of the draft, especially when you get like the top 5-10 picks. But and
I forget the name of the. There's a really good actor who plays one of the other coaches that he has phone interactions with. God, I'm blanking on it, but he's a really good actor.
Well, Kevin Costner plays the general manager of the Browns. Dennis Leary plays the coach.
Oh, okay, that's the one. I'm misremembering it. Thank you for correcting me. Oh, and Deion Sanders is in it. He plays himself as a commentator on a sport, I think ESPN. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Oh,
Terry Crews.
Yeah, Sam Elliott was in it as
in it.
Sam Elliott. You can't go wrong with him.
Yes. So that's the last I'll say about it. Fucking fantastic. If you like watching the NFL draft, this movie should be your jam.
And then loaded with all kinds of sports people anyway. It's got Arian Foster, who's a running back in the NFL. Ray Lewis, Hall of Fame linebacker. Chris Bierman, everybody knows Chris Bierman. Bernie Kosar, Jim Brown, Hall of Famers. John Gruden, coach of the Raiders. Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. A whole lot of it's got Sean Combs is in it. Yeah,
he plays Puff Daddy. He plays a sports agent in the movie.
Yeah, it's the draft day in the NFL has always really, really intrigued me. It's handled so much differently than almost anything else you do in professional football. Because, I mean, it's like free agency is one thing, actually planning the games out and coaching and playing is another thing. The draft is this one really, really odd day that, I mean, it should be so simple. It's just like, you have the 4th overall pick. You need a quarterback really bad. You just draft the quarterback. But there's so much thought and processing of stats and
not
everything
just
that goes
picks,
into it.
The phone calls that they make. Well, if I give you this pick, will you give me this person on your team as a trade?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 10 dimensions to the decision of what to do with that slot you're given. Do I actually pick a newbie, or do I trade it for this or trade it for another pick? Hey, I'll give you these 3 picks if you give me your pick in a higher round. I mean, I can't even imagine the algorithms that people are trying to write for computers to help these teams. I mean, just even a human brain would have a hard time fathoming all of it. It's almost supernatural what they do in 2 days.
Yeah, I always laugh when sports fans are like, "Oh, I totally would have traded that guy, or I would have drafted that guy, or signed that guy." I'm like, it's not that simple. There's so much you have to take into account.
This movie explains it in a way that it really makes it clear.
Absolutely.
And the acting's great. The timing of it, the pace of the movie is great. The lulls of when he's driving in his car and when he's dealing with his ridiculously difficult mother on draft day, she's bugging him about spreading her husband's ashes. He's like, Mom, can you do this on any other day? She's like, no. And then his ex-wife shows up, and it's just like, you feel for the guy, and you want to hand him a beer, but it's just, yeah. And then what he does to the laptop, oh, that poor intern kid. It's great. It's great. I could talk about it for an hour, so I'll shut up. Sorry.
Yeah, probably a pretty smart pick considering the NFL draft is exactly 1 week away.
Yep.
Also, don't forget, Jeremy might not be around for next week's show, but the Dee-Dee's going to be here with me. We're going to live stream next week. We're going to live stream the entire first round of the NFL draft.
I may join you for part of it.
And Cora may join me for part of it. All kinds of crazy shit is going to happen. Maybe my friend Jake Binge, who was the sports writer with the Ohio State Lantern, that's the Ohio State newspaper, he might try to pop in here and there. I know he's going to be doing some stuff for his newspaper as well that night, but he said he's going to try to pop in and give us some of his thoughts. And there might be one or two other people that pop in, but yeah, we're definitely going to be talking football a lot next week. So if you want to come hear me blather on endlessly about the NFL draft's first round, especially if I end up pulling my hair out over whatever quarterback the Niners pick, I don't have any hair up here, so hopefully it won't make me pull out any hair, because I only have hairs in so many places, and I want to keep those hairs. But, yeah, it's round one of the draft. The draft period is exciting. Round one, definitely, more than any other sport, the NFL draft is a huge, huge day. So do consider coming around next week as we take a little bit of a break from some of the movie stuff. We may still talk about some movie stuff, but we'll definitely be breaking away from the hardcore movie stuff, and we'll be going over the first round of the draft. Now, Jeremy, I believe you have one more movie you want to talk about, and what, sir, is that?
First of all, I want to ruin Kevin Costner for you in one word: Waterworld. Anyway, my
I
last
like
movie.
that movie.
Hey, for every Waterworld,
it.
he's made 4 good movies, okay? Let's cut Kevin Costner some slack.
Right, I know. It's just a funny thing. Goddamn. I do have an honorable mention, but I texted Frank this way to. This is a movie that I could talk about, and you know what? UFC is a fucking sport, so this is right up that alley. We were trying to talk about like boxing and wrestling and shit. So my last one was Never Back Down, from like 2008 or some shit. And this one again, this is like when, because I'm like, wait a minute, this is a movie that I think I'm putting as my last one, because this is something that. The time it came out and like when I watched it, and I watched it quite often because it was something that I was into during that time, and I was also doing martial arts at that time. So like when I saw this movie, I was just like, holy shit! It was cool to pick out things that like, oh hey, that's something I've learned, or that's something I do, or like, yeah, that is how you fucking do that. And I'm like, holy shit, this is really cool. I appreciate this movie. The reason why it's stuck in my head, because I'm like, wait a minute, he starts off he's playing football. Right, he plays football in Iowa. He's a high school football player, and yeah, he's kind of got some shitty home life things going on. He lost his dad in a car accident. His dad was drunk. He tried to tell him not to drive, but like he was in the car with him. He obviously made it, and his dad didn't. He tried to tell him not to drive, and his dad insisted. And then, well, you know what happened. So, this one football player on the other fucking team just fucking twists that wrong goddamn button, and he snaps and just beats the shit out of this kid. And of course, this is that time of like the internet is starting to take the fuck off. So like people saw this and they put it on totally not YouTube and whatever at the early 2000s. And so when he moves, they moved to Florida because his little brother plays tennis and he's trying to get a scholarship. So he moves to Florida kind of thinking, okay, cool, maybe I'm kind of out of this whole thing. But yeah, you can't escape the internet. And our good buddy Ralph Boner's in this fucking movie. I'm telling you, I know, because I was going to go there. This, I'm sorry, is the movie that I saw Evan Peters in. And I'm like, this is the fucking Evan Peters I know. And I still appreciate him. He plays like the fucking wacky, crazy fucking like best friend guy. Like the first guy that gets up in his face and fucking tries to tell him like, hey, down here, I mean, everyone's seen your clip, dude, but like down here, we do some serious like MMA type shit, and he's kind of like, nah, dude, I'm not into that shit. Like, I don't want to do that. And they're all, so he comes across this kid who's obviously like a fucking monster, and he's definitely not a high schooler. But whatever. I'm supposed to. It's the Spider-Man thing where I'm supposed to believe that this fucking kid looks like he's 30. It's supposed to be in high school. But there's like this is something that revolves around their lives down there. They do this thing. They have this thing called the beatdown. It's where it's tiered. You know, they got everybody can come in, and one person leaves. You're the victor. So yeah, he finds this guy that he trains with that is. I almost called him Ralph Boner again. Damn it! Evan Peters' character trains with. That's so hard not to do. I know. Yeah. That had. I'm gonna butcher his name again, but it's. I had it here. Hold on. Jaimin Hansu.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm gonna stick with that.
Never heard
I don't
of
know.
him.
I mentioned him before. He's a really cool dude. Like there's a couple of movies that I mean I've seen with him, and he never ceases to amaze. He plays the guy who runs this place called Combat. Hold on. Is it Combat 365? Anyway, it's open all year, and it's Florida, so obviously you can do that. Yeah. He trains with him, and he's had a whole tragic backstory, like with his brother getting killed when he was in his home country. He hasn't seen his dad since. So it's kind of like they both have these struggles, and they kind of like they get to each other. Like, you know, he tells him, dude, you can't hide from your dad forever, and he's kind of telling him like, well, what do you think I want to do? I want to run away from this guy who's been like beating on me this whole fucking time. You know, they kind of come to a nice agreement on that. And obviously, you know, I know this is before all this shit happened with Amber Heard. I hate Amber Heard with a passion, but I mean, she's what you think Amber Heard is in this movie. Obviously, she's just kind of there. I don't really mind it. She's the love interest, obviously. But and of course the irony is that the guy that's like the fucking beast at this whole beatdown thing is her boyfriend, but then ex-boyfriend. She kind of just realizes how much of a dick he is. Yeah, it's a rocky moment, man. He gets the shit kicked out of him in the fucking fight. He like has a broken rib he's trying to fucking deal with, and this fight goes outside in the street. There are no fucking rules. These two fucking have it out in the middle of the fucking street. Everyone turning their car lights on, watching these two guys go at it. And yeah, he delivers that nice little kick right across the dude's neck, knocks him the fuck out. And yeah, it's a rocky moment at the end for sure. He's beat all the hell and he just puts his hand up.
I gotta be honest, I've never seen this movie.
I've never heard of it.
What?
I've heard of it, I've never seen it.
Didn't even know it existed.
Damn. It's a good movie. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of one of those little teeny-ish early 2000s movie, but I mean, it's kind of cool to see this dude fucking really, I mean, literally and figuratively just kind of fight through all this crap.
Well, you helped someone in the chat. He couldn't remember the name of this movie, but you helped him. He was trying to remember it all night.
There you go, whoever you are. And was that meme? And I love you, random citizen. You're welcome. Yeah. That's. And again, like I said, it was in the time, like early 2000s-ish, almost getting to the
Is it just me, or does the movie poster look like kind of like the beginnings of a derailed thumbnail?
I don't even get the picture. I see it. I'm like, yeah, I bet you I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Drew's wife has made better thumbnails in this picture. This
I know. I said the beginning. I said the beginnings of.
Yes, this poster's a little basic.
We're going to start with this.
Tara's great.
But then again, they probably made this movie for about $37, and we're like, yeah, we're going to throw it out there, and hopefully it'll catch on and make us a lot of money.
Like I said, I liked it because I was into that whole shit. That may also have been why. You know, it was something that I liked.
Cora, have you ever seen this movie?
Never even heard of it till tonight. So.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I got to be honest. I'm not much into the combat sports. I was a boxing fan when I was younger, but once boxing got so badly supplanted by MMA, I'm not really a huge MMA fan. I watch a little bit of it here and there, but I'm definitely a casual fan. So I don't really chase the MMA stuff like some people do. But Amber Heard's hot, so whatever. She doesn't need to be. She doesn't need to be a great wife. She just needs to look good.
Like I said, she's
quite the liar. too. So
Yeah,
Oh,
like I said,
let's
she
be honest.
thinks
Their
she-
whole relationship was just toxic.
probably.
I don't think either one of them were really good to each other. But
I
that's the whole
think
story.
I think they try to play her off as like the. It's like, yeah, she seems like kind of the it girl of the fucking. I mean, it's a big. He came from like Yeehaw, Iowa, and actually, it's funny.
You do know her own parents testified against her basically and told the court she's a liar and can't be trusted.
I don't care. That's the story. That's the story for a whole other shit. Who cares?
Fair enough.
I literally watched. I'm watching this guy reads body language, and he even said she's full of shit. So
Yeah.
But like I said, he comes from like Yeehaw, Iowa, and now he's done like, on the fucking ocean, Florida. You know what I mean? That's a fucking culture shift. So the thing is that she's kind of like, she used to be a ghost, as her ex-boyfriend now says. He's like, used to be a ghost, like being with me made you. And it's like, yeah, she is kind of like the hot girl that everyone's just like, oh my god, I wish I had her. But they try to paint her as like, nah, she's actually kind of, she's not all looks. But I'm like, yeah, well, you kind of are.
She's good in the movie. That's what matters here. So
I guess. Like I said, she realizes the dude was a dick, and she, obviously ends up with the main dude. And he beats the shit out of the ex-boyfriend, and they kind of have a little head nod at the end, he kind of respects him. That's the thing. Even though they were at each other, and he ends up winning the fucking fight, they see each other at school, and he kind of just nods at him, and he kind of I'm like, well, at least he respects the game. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
It's always good to respect the game.
I know, right?
Especially after you've beat each other's asses for a while. You're like, okay, we get it now.
Like I said, that was. I mean, it's a tense fight, man. And again, if you love Evan Peters, just fucking trust me. Watch him in this movie. He's wild.
Watch it without calling him Boner.
I will try to.
It's going to be difficult to do now, but now it's out there.
Yeah.
We know he's a boner.
Yeah.
But try to watch Evan Boner. I mean, Evan Peterson.
Peters. That's funny.
Now, we'll move on to my last movie now. After I remember where the hell I'm at with all this stuff. Now, I really do love some of the true-to-life stuff. Now, I've actually seen both the documentary that this film was largely based on and the film. And they are extremely disturbing yet entertaining at the same time. And my last movie is Foxcatcher. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the story behind John DuPont and everything that he had going on. Now, for those of you who know the name DuPont, know the name DuPont,
the family,
the DuPont Chemical Company, it's that family. These people are like richer than God, and that's probably not even really a joke. I mean, that they're rich as shit. Now, this guy John DuPont, he ends up developing this 440 acres on his family's gigantic estate somewhere in where was this at? I forget where it was at. But anyway, he establishes basically Olympic training centers for like 3 or 4 sports. The one that he was most involved with was Greco-Roman wrestling. Now he established swimming and wrestling training centers on this land, and he allowed people like Olympic champion wrestlers Mark Schultz and eventually his older brother Dave Schultz and the families of them and other people that he was trying to train to live on this land. He built these houses and everything on the land for them to live in while they trained. And he would train the hell out of them. He'd send them out to these competitions to just dominate everybody. But he ended up I don't know if he was crazy from the beginning. It sounds to me like he kind of was. Or if maybe he just kind of lost his grip on reality. And he ends up getting into it with Dave Schultz, who was played in the movie by Mark Ruffalo. He ends up going to his house one day to question him about something. I don't remember exactly what. And ends up pulling a gun and shooting Dave Schultz and killing him right in his own driveway. Now, and then John DuPont, of course, takes off, and he doesn't really run. He just kind of like drives away, and they eventually find him, arrest him, and he ends up spending the rest of his life in jail. But one of the cool things about this movie is, as fantastical and crazy as this whole thing, it's 100% true. You can go look all this stuff up right now. For one, actually, you can go, I forget if it was on, I think I watched it on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there, but I think it might be on Prime as well. You can go watch the documentary Team Foxcatcher about this whole thing. And Foxcatcher is actually the name of the part of the family estate where they would breed horses, and so that's why it was called Team Foxcatcher. He named all these teams after his family's horse breeding dominance that they had for so many years. But yeah, he was a very disturbed, very weird individual. John DuPont was, and the actors for one. Okay, it's got Mark Ruffalo, who he's good. You guys know how good he is. It's got Channing Tatum, who I'm not gonna lie, I've always thought Channing Tatum was kind of that dumb muscle-bound guy you put in movies when you want girls to swoon. But I'm gonna give him a little bit of credit. He actually is pretty freaking good in this movie. Now, granted, he's kind of playing himself. He's playing a muscle-bound wrestler, but it works out really, really well. I think he plays a little bit of the darkness of his character very, very well. I actually really enjoyed him in this movie. This is one of my favorite things I've actually watched him in. And then, of course, you have Steve Carell, who, I mean, everybody knows The Office. Everybody knows the comedic stuff that he does.
But he's a really great character actor in that he dives into a role and you don't realize it's him. He's not just the guy from The Office.
Yeah, he is phenomenal. Yeah, he is phenomenal in this movie. As this weird, eccentric, dark, mysterious... one of the things that usually happens when you see somebody who's known more for their comedy take on a role like this is they'll kind of lean on that every now and again, the little quick one-liner or maybe the subtle humor to kind of like remind you that you like the guy, just so you can go on through the movie remembering that you like the guy. There is none of that in this movie. I mean, there is some levity, but there's not really any comedy. They are very upfront with just how dark this whole thing was. It becomes evident to everybody pretty quickly that he is not exactly right in the head, but a lot of the movie is spent with the Schultz brothers trying to figure out, well, do we really want to stick around here because we've got a good thing going? We're getting all this training done. This guy's throwing a ton of money at us. We don't want for anything. We're being successful. We're winning championships. He's like, or are we getting a little tired of this weird guy and his weirdness and his eccentricities and him constantly trying to force himself into things where maybe he doesn't need to be? Do we maybe want to move on and try something else now? Because at this point, both the Schultz brothers had a great deal of success in their careers. I know Dave Schultz was he was getting more into the coaching stuff and was like starting to transition out of being active in the ring, or on the mat rather, for Greco-Roman wrestling. So maybe he was towards the end, but his brother was still very much in his primes, and that was one of the things they were trying to do. They were trying to decide, do we want to put up with this weird guy, or do we want to just go ahead and move on? And that's one of the things that ends up leading to John DuPont showing up at Dave Schultz's house one day, and he shoots him right in front of his wife and kid. They were getting in the car to get ready to go somewhere. I don't remember where they were going in the movie. And the way that I've heard it described, it wasn't even a disagreement, as they were just talking, and John DuPont pulls a gun out and shoots him point blank in front of his wife and kid. And he ends up, unfortunately, dying in the driveway. And then, the cops get called, of course, because that's what happens, and they end up going to find John DuPont, who just went up to his house and was just sitting in his chair chilling, probably knowing what was happening and knowing that he's John DuPont and he can't really run. So he just sits there and chills, and then they go and arrest him, and he ends up getting convicted of the murder of David Schultz, and then the whole thing falls apart. But it's this darker, grittier side of what some people are willing to do to either win or be a part of winning. And I very much suggest, go watch both of these. Go watch the Team Foxcatcher documentary on Netflix. I think it's still on Netflix. And then watch this movie. They're pretty close. And that documentary is downright terrifying. It's just, you see, if you go look at John DuPont in the actual documentary, you can see that maybe the lights are all on, but maybe not too many people are home. You know what I mean? There's a weirdness about him that shows through. Again, in hindsight being 2020,
and
you can kind of
reminds
see
you of
where
Michael
he's aloft.
Jackson and his social awkwardness.
Yeah, similar. But I mean, there's definitely something behind John DuPont's eyes as you're watching him kind of go through, the path that his particular path as the documentary is going forward. And again, Steve Carell, fucking phenomenal. I've always liked Steve Carell, and I've seen him do stuff that is not all the way comedy and be very good in it. But this was another level. I mean, this is where he gets a lot of respect from me, because he is no funny at all in this. Very dark, very cryptic, very just. He's the kind of guy that if you'd have met him in real life, you'd look at him and be like, I don't know if I want you around me. I think I'm just going to go the other way and just not associate with you, because one of these days you might show up in my driveway and shoot me in front of my wife and kid. But he is spectacular. And again, there's really a strong supporting cast in this whole thing. I forget exactly who was in it. I don't have the movie stuff pulled up in front of me. I actually have the stuff about John DuPont himself. But it's a fantastic movie. And he ended up, of course, dying in prison because he got I think he got life, or at least what would have been life for somebody who was he was 72 when he died. I don't remember exactly how old he was when the crimes were committed. And again, this is something that happened actually fairly recently. I mean, this was only, I think, the mid-late 90s that all this happened.
Yeah.
So it's something that happened fairly recently. He was convicted in 1997. The shooting happened in January of 1996.
Well,
and he was ruled to have
tragic.
He was ruled to have been mentally ill but not insane, and was sentenced to prison for 13 to 30 years. He would end up dying in prison on December 9, 2010 at the age of 72. And in a very weird, morbid note, to date he is the only member of the Forbes 500 richest Americans to ever be convicted of murder. so
that you know of.
He's got that going for him. But yeah, it's definitely a fantastic film. That if you're into some of the darker, shadier stuff of what some of these people are willing to do to go through, to even be a part of something of winning, it's a very, very good movie. One that I think you guys will all enjoy. Let's go check out the chat room.
I haven't seen it, but I've been wanting to see it, and I keep forgetting. So thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, it's like I said, the documentary is very, very good. The documentary is every bit as good as this film. And I hope you guys will check all that stuff out.
Was that the last one?
Yeah, that was the last one.
Can I do my honorable mention really quick?
Do your honorable mentions.
Yay, since I know everyone likes to shit on me, all my childhood movies in the 90s.
No one does.
I had an honorable mention. It's a sports movie. I had Space Jam, but everyone was going to shit the fuck on me for that.
That's not bad.
Oh, I like Space Jam. I liked it.
You've been better off picking Space Jam instead of the second Air Bud.
I don't know about that. I probably could have just gotten rid of the rookie because I'm like, I don't remember jack shit about that either. I just remember, he played minor league, he had a shoulder injury, and then he fucking got a second shot at it. That's all I remember. Well, that's basically it.
Cora, do you have any honorable mentions?
The Freshman from 1925 is a silent film, and it reminds me of kind of like a comedy, like Adam Sandler kind of stuff. And it's very old, but it's very funny to watch. And you can watch it on YouTube for free, by the way.
Cora went to the Wayback Machine. She put out a silent film
in
the 20s. Jeez.
Yeah, all right.
It's actually really good. They wear the leather helmets and everything. There's a love story, and it's very cute.
Yeah, as far as my honorable mentions, I got to be honest, I could go through about 100 films. I mean, I didn't even really talk about any of the Rocky films, which they're some of my favorite films. Me being a baseball player, a baseball player and a fan for so many years, I didn't bring up A League of Their Own, which is one of my all-time favorite films. I didn't bring up was it Field of Dreams, stuff like that. So if you spent time listening to us and you're thinking to yourself, why not this movie? Why not that movie? The reality is there's 100 movies that I could have put on this list, but for the sake, we're already 2.5 hours into this show. We could spend another 2.5 hours going through another 15 movies, and all of them would be good movies. So I suggest just go watch them. What I do sometimes is I'll just go to like IMDb and I'll just type in sports movies in the search engine and let it bring it up, or I'll type in like mobster movies, whatever genre I want to try to pick their brains out a little bit. And I'll start going down them and saying, oh, this sounds good. Oh, I've seen that one. Oh, I haven't seen that one. I've always meant to. And that's a good way to find movies just to check out. And, again, that's one of the small positives that's come about from this pandemic is that, it's given me a lot of time to catch up on movies that I had forgotten about and maybe even look at a few that I might not have had time to go check out had, life not stopped for the last 12 months. So, yeah, definitely take an opportunity to go check out all of these movies. I'm sure we're probably going to go after this topic again at some point in the future because, again, there's a million movies we could have brought up here. So if we missed any of the movies that you think should be on this list, we weren't trying to piss you guys off. It's just that there's only so many movies we have time to go into.
I was saying, you're kidding me? That's all I had. That was the whole bag of tricks was those 5. I struggled with that.
well, then maybe the next time we do sports movies, we're going to let you sit that one out, and we'll bring Casey in and let him make his bad jokes.
I won't be there for the sequel. Jesus. Damn.
But anyway, thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. We very do appreciate it.
Yes.
Again, if you are so inclined to maybe join the Patreon and support us, that would be fantastic. I don't know why the music isn't playing for some reason. I know I hit play. There we go. You gotta love the internet and the fact that it takes forever for something to start. Thank you guys again very much. Cora, any final thoughts as we get out of here?
Nope. Everything's fun, and I'm looking forward to... Oh, you might promo tomorrow night before we go, too.
Tomorrow night, everybody knows what we're doing tomorrow night. Mortal Kombat tomorrow night. We're going to be doing the retro movie review of the first movie that came out in 1995. One of the only good ones that came out from that entire series. And also, of course, we're going to be doing a spoiler discussion of the brand new Mortal Kombat movie that is dropping tomorrow, both in theaters and on HBO Max. So if you guys get a chance to watch that, we are going to be getting into some deep spoiler discussions about it. Also, if you get a chance, don't forget, they released the first 7 minutes on YouTube and HBO Max. You can check out the opening 7 minutes of that film, and it looks very, very good. I'm actually very, very excited to see what that movie is going to bring. But
Indeed.
Again, thank you all very much, and we will see you guys later. Adios.